Haven't heard from Dane Dane in a couple of days. Um, oh yeah, I saw his Facebook thing about the cup of coffee. He'll get thrown off of Facebook again for talking about McDonald's.
Oh, you know he will.
Yeah, 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 that's like talking about Walmart. And it's supposed to.
Oh no, you didn't say that now, did you?
Uh, yeah.
That's crazy.
Ever found out I don't go inside that building anymore. I won't. No, no, don't. I
Good
won't.
evening, everyone.
There he is, the king of cooking.
All righty.
How's everybody doing?
Doing good.
Doing good,
Ronnie.
Mr.
Good.
Ronnie. How are you?
Ronnie, you came up in conversation this morning. I passed a little store on the corner of Hickory and Jefferson Highway, and they have two like gas station type stores on the corner. They don't sell gas, but little driving things. And my wife says that's the finest fried chicken in the world. And I said, Ronnie, I'll take you up. We'll counter you on that.
Yeah, I hit on something this week, a little grocery that my wife goes to. And I mean it's New Orleans fried chicken to the max.
Well, chicken is the only thing. Chicken and turkey is the only thing I can eat. But when I throw fried in front of it, that's out.
They got no sense of humor at all, do they?
No, they don't. Tell them it's good for you. Just watch the commercials. It's good and good for you.
Well, I heard that chocolate was good for you the other day too, and so I wanted to get that big chocolate cake at the grocery, and my wife said no, it wasn't. I don't know if she has something against me or what there, but
I've got a cousin that lost like 130, 140 pounds, and she ate a piece of Dove dark chocolate every single day.
Just dark chocolate, no cake or anything, just the chocolate.
No,
yeah,
just
you
the little square, the little individual wrapped square of Dove dark, and that was for her heart.
Yeah, and that actually is good for you.
Yeah. Dean, it looks like you're losing weight.
I've lost about 35 pounds, so I'm working.
You can see it. Good.
I got a bunch more to go, but you got to start.
What are you doing to lose it?
I just I'm not going on any kind of real strict diet. I just cut back on portions and.
He's listening to his wife.
Don't start any trouble now, Brenda. Come on.
Hey, Dean.
Brenda, start trouble.
Dean.
Yes, sir.
I found, those little cups of yogurt that you get at the grocery store?
Yeah.
At nighttime, instead of eating something else sweet, you eat one of those little containers of yogurt. It satisfies your sweet tooth. And my daughter said something about it because she's a nurse. She said yogurt's good for you, and it will help you lose weight.
I've been doing that, and it is good for you.
Yeah. So. And like they were saying, that dark chocolate, you can have a small piece of that, and it will satisfy you, and plus it's good for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it got to where there for the last couple of years during COVID, I was sitting at the desk way too much, and of course, when I sit at the desk, I eat. So, quit sitting so much and quit eating so much, and it's helping.
There you go. You can see it.
Another alarm. I have to go in and turn those things off.
I better check my phones too.
Telling you that Worldwide Woodturners is about to start?
Yeah. That it's almost time. I guess I should tell it catch up. We We do it a little bit different nowadays. I had a call from somebody the other day, and we talked for a little bit, and they said, I wish that had taken off. I said, what? He said, that worldwide winter, this thing. I said, wait. We meet every Wednesday. Oh, really? I thought it was like a one-time thing. So he may be back.
Where's he been, huh?
Yeah. He may be here tonight. He may be here right now. I don't want to say his name.
I was talking to the Louisiana hobby guy today, Rich,
Yes.
and I'm trying to talk him into doing this on YouTube, but for laser. And he doesn't think that it would be any good, but I think it would, because people would be able to ask a whole bunch of questions and get some answers, you know?
And they could do live.
It'd be great as long as he doesn't do it as a promotion and everything like that for his channel and whatnot.
No, I'm not talking about on this channel, for him to do it on his own channel.
Yeah, but he's got to have other people also doing demos and things like that to make it relevant and interesting for other people.
Yeah, well, he's a guru of lasers, and he knows a lot
Right.
about them, so he can
Yeah.
answer
No,
a lot of questions.
That's
a lot of
understandable.
problems.
Right, but the last time he was on, it was a big infomercial.
Well,
He may not have known or understood our rules.
right.
You know, I've heard that from a couple of other people. Hey, if I can call
I heard
in,
it
I'll
from
give
a
you
lot
away
of
this, give away that. You know,
Well,
so-
we were lucky to get him on, and he knows a lot.
He
Well, no,
does.
I understand that, but we, at the same time, the man should be set up to succeed and not have other people, feeling ill will when he comes on, thinking it's going to be an infomercial. That's the only thing I'm saying.
He wasn't selling anything.
Well, he was soliciting. He was trying to get to his 10,000 likes on his channel and everything like that, and everything that comes with YouTube metrics. But I'm not going to argue about it. I'm just saying I
Yeah.
had at
Well,
least 20. I had at least 20 people contact me during that session that didn't agree with what was going on because it was going against what we stood for.
all of these guys on this channel that has a YouTube, they'd be thrilled if their numbers went up, and
Well, of course they would, but you don't need to sit on the channel. Hey, come subscribe to my channel. Come subscribe to my channel. Put it in the chat.
he wasn't on that long for all of that to happen.
Go back and rewatch it, Ronnie. Go back and rewatch it.
We're way off
First one.
track. Way off track. Ronnie showed me a photo, or sent me a photograph of a, what do you call it, a candle holder?
Yeah, let me grab it. Hold on just a second.
Yeah, Ronnie
What
did
you
it.
make, Ronnie?
Hold on just a second. I'll be back.
Yeah. Ronnie
We'll
did
be
it.
here.
That was a cool project.
Hi, everybody.
Oh, look out. He's back.
You got your popcorn? I got mine.
Like Ron Radliff. He, front row popcorn.
I got my popcorn. With some garlic butter.
Ooh.
You back?
Yeah, popcorn with garlic butter, ramp butter. The old lady makes all kind of stuff.
Spotlight me, Eddie.
You're on, bud.
There it is.
Hey, ooh, Ronnie.
Pull
Let
it
me-
back
let
towards
me-
you, Ronnie.
Let me hold it. There it is.
It's neat.
That's
Oh,
nice.
cool.
It's all made on a laser. Got one of them little dollar candles that you get at the dollar store. Let me take the candle out.
Ronnie did this on the plate. Well, that's neat, Ronnie.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty nice.
That's nice.
Yeah, it was fun to lay out. I didn't download a file or anything. I went strictly. I designed it all, laid it all out, kind of made a prototype. I made the 2 rings and only 4 ribs, We came inside, and I seen what was working and what wasn't working. So I kind of changed the design a little bit, and went back outside and cut it out.
That's cool. It's
I
so
tell
much
you
more
what,
satisfying when you design it. That's cool.
Yeah.
those lasers are amazing. The possibilities are endless. What you can do with them, you know.
That out of
Seems
3
like
mil?
That all just
Huh?
pressed together?
I'm sorry.
Is that all just pressed together?
Yeah, it's glued together with CA.
Okay.
Is that out
So
of 3
when
mil plywood?
yeah, three mil. And when the candle starts to burn down, you'll be able to see the candle and the wick as it burns down, you know. So
That's
and
cool.
and it's
That's
great
neat.
because the flame is nowhere close to the wood, you know.
Right.
My wife is already telling me she wants me to make more, but she wants me to put them in colors, like paint it yellow and get a black candle so it look like a daisy or something. Or
Oh,
paint
yeah.
it pink and then put a different color candle in it. So it'll kind of look like a flower, you know.
Yeah.
But it was a fun little project, you know. It's great when you learn the design on these things, you know.
That's cool.
I just got here. Is that laser printed, Ronnie?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. Laser engraved. Very nice.
And he designed it himself.
Uh, they've got somebody that I'm getting ready to start on it tomorrow, and I chose the state of Louisiana. It's a mandala. For people that don't know what a mandala is, I think what it means is just that it's a multi-layer thing, and it's the state of Louisiana, and it's got the American flag going through it and everything else. So I think I might start on it tomorrow. I got me some more plywood. I went to Home Depot and I got me some 1/4 inch plywood.
I actually had to look that. I actually had to look that up this afternoon, Ronnie. By definition, a mandala is a geometric figure.
Oh, okay. But it's multiple layers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the demo tonight with the dot painting, basically what I'm doing is painting mandalas or however you say that.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool, Ronnie.
Yeah, it's very nice.
Ronnie. What's that?
Or anybody else that's listening with that plywood, if you guys got any cabinet shops near you, they use a ton of 1/4 inch plywood and 26-inch pieces. So they buy sheets. Every shop I've been in has got a big pile of 22-inch half sheets of wood that they'll give you, 1/4 inch on.
I've got a shop not too far from me, and I'm gonna have to go over there and talk to the guy because, like you were saying, somebody told me that.
Howdy. Today we have Kentucky Coffee Tree. Yes.
Thank you.
They were telling me that these cabinet shops, they can buy this plywood at an outrageous price. You can buy from them cheaper than what you can anybody else. So, and like what you're saying, they got to have a lot of drops. So if they'll
Every once
take
in a while, yeah, there's a shop right near me, and every once in a while, they'll put 40 or 50 sheets out in the front yard with a sign on it that says free.
Wow.
And it's all, like I say, it's like 22 inches wide because the cabinets are like 26, and they buy the 4x8 sheets, and they have nothing that they can use the 22-inch wide pieces for.
Well,
he usually keeps them in there for a while. And if somebody asks for them, he'll give them to you.
Yeah, that would be perfect because the bed of my laser is about that big, you know.
Yeah, and that's a good place to get cabinet plywood drops also. Cabinet plywood is not like the plywood you buy at Home Depot or Lowe's or anything. Ronnie and I buy it at a much higher quality lumber place near the house, and hopefully they can hang on. And I say hopefully they can hang on because everybody, and I was in construction for almost 40 years, everybody that I bought from are gone. They're all gone. Big box stores have knocked them all out of the game. Just like hardware stores. Don't y'all miss regular hardware stores all over that, you know?
We still got one here in Houma that I go to. It's nice.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Your local hardwares are becoming a thing of the past. We need to support them more because, man, a good hardware is worth its weight in gold.
Yeah. Well, when
You
I
don't
was
see
telling my
too many
wife where you
anymore.
got that fried chicken at, I said, you know, where Harry's Ace Hardware used to be, you know,
Right.
that's it. You know, and they were the biggest operation in the area with like 4 or 5 stores at one time. And they're gone all over the place.
I gotta say, my corner Ace feels like a local hardware. I mean, I know half the people who work in there. They've worked in there forever.
Well,
Yeah, well,
that is
that'd be
local.
a neighborhood hardware, but I'm talking about when you can stay away from the big box stores, you know.
Well, you know, when you go in a hardware store, even the Ace or I don't know if True Value is still around. You're talking to people that are used to helping people solve problems or create things. They're not there for sales. And normally, one of the owners or managers is there. Used to be a great one up on Veterans. Can't think of the name of it. I mean, that place was clicking, and that guy was real sharp. And if you wanted to work there, there was a test. And he'd wander around the store with you, and he'd point something. What's that for? And what's that do? If you didn't pass the test, go ahead. I didn't need you, or I don't need you, which is great. A lot of places like now, you go someplace and they have a sign up help wanted. Well, if they have a sign up help wanted, it sometimes means the help they got just can't do the job. And there's a great little restaurant around the corner, and they're open on limited terms because they can't find a good cook, and it's a family operation. So we need to turn these things around. It's how I put it the other day. It's our America. Let's take it back. So okay, who's turning what?
Not a thing this week.
Brenda's shaking her head. Why, Brenda?
I haven't turned much. I've been working on an urn. It's still on the lathe.
My boo-boo, Brenda.
Uh-oh.
Oh yeah, somebody joined the Band-Aid brigade last night.
Who was that? Oh, look at that! A boo-boo.
Hey,
That's a bad spot, too. Every time you open up your hand, it opens back up.
Yeah,
hey,
Yeah.
never heal.
Did you super glue that, Dane?
sure did.
Arfex 3408.
Two
That
coats.
was a bleeder.
Mm-mm-mm.
I've been making funnels.
What do
I
you do
saw
that
a
for?
Version, I made a version of Doug's little round bottom bowl.
Oh,
Very nice.
cool.
Very cool.
That's cool. Yes.
Didn't get the full proper calabash on it because as I opened up the inside, I discovered I got ring shake.
Oh no.
It's a feature.
Had,
That's
so I had
character there.
to
Yeah.
stop with it.
Isn't that what they make black CA for?
I don't know. You hate to
That is
cover it up.
absolutely.
It just never looks quite the same when you do that, you know?
Yeah. Well, this one here, I'm gonna leave it as is, make it all shiny and whatnot.
That's
Very
perfect.
nice, Dane.
How dry is the product? Is it very dry? Or?
Yeah, I don't know. It's 15 years out here in the cut, laying in the sun.
Okay, so it's not going to go oblong or anything.
No, no.
Hmm.
But it's a piece of our eucalyptus, also known as camphor laurel in Australia.
And watch what you say about Australia.
Oh, I know. He's online. I saw him.
4 degrees there. 4 degrees.
You know,
I
I
mean, we
did make
might
some
see Donald.
bracelets this week.
We might see Donald dancing around the fire later.
Sam, Brenda.
Hi. You see the bracelets I made?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Trying to make more bracelets.
You got to model them though. There you go.
Yeah.
There you
Very
go.
cool. Very cool.
That one I made with my the ring tool, you know, the captive ring tool.
Oh.
Yep.
Nice.
This one.
You liking how that works?
What is in that? You can see something inside of it. What is that?
I mean, inside I painted it.
Okay, it's not really clear. I can't tell exactly what it is.
Okay. It's paint. I just painted made them look like little feathers. And I put some glitter paint on it.
Oh, it looks
And I
cool.
see it in here.
Yeah, it's a great canvas to work with.
And here's another one. Dots on.
How big
If
is
you
your
cut-
opening, Brenda?
What's that?
How big is the opening?
Just big enough for my wrist.
Good answer.
Oh no. This is how
I think glitter paint is an untapped resource for wood turners. We don't hardly ever use it. So
that one's right at 3 inches. Check this one out.
Whoa.
there you go.
I
Go.
like that.
Cool.
That one's big enough to be like weaponized or something.
What happens alongside the head?
This is a little
Lethal
big for
weapon.
me, but
Want a little hope, buddy?
yeah.
When you walk with on one arm, you probably tip to one side.
Yeah.
My
That's what I
grandpa
did.
used to get wrong number phone calls to his house all the time. They were always asked for hope. And he would say, "There's no hope here," and hang up.
There you go.
Oh my.
Very good, Brenda.
Those are pretty, Brenda.
This one
Great
here
job.
and this one here, I put resin on, and I didn't like it, but I had to do sanding afterwards too.
Well, if you could inlay a watch movement inside that bracelet, that would be pretty.
Oh, like in this one?
Any of them that you could find a movement that small, that one you could find one for sure.
Yeah.
That would
Well,
be
that's a
cool.
good idea.
Oh, there's a catalog service
Big
that
enough, too.
sells those. I mean, they have 100 sizes.
Yeah.
And they also sell the
idea.
Yeah.
forcement bit in a proper size
Yeah.
for the reset.
Exactly. You could drill it while it was on the lathe. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I did.
That's the idea. So now we're waiting for a demo on how to put a watch in there from Brenda. Okay, write it up, Dane. So, Billy, what you have this week to show? You have anything on gallery?
No, I've been really busy. July 4th, and then we having a delayed July 4th party this weekend at our house. So we're like, yeah, we're overwhelmed right now. I've
We
been
got
golfing.
something down.
I've been golfing. You know,
Golf.
it's getting too hot though. I know.
All right. Well, Jim Shelby's got something. to show us. Hey,
Jim
Jim.
Shelby, here he is.
I made a couple of coin bowls, one out of ash and one out of sycamore. And,
Love the grain.
Those are nice.
I don't do shiny, so they just got Howard's orange oil and beeswax on them.
Hey, it looks good though.
They look good.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Love it.
All right. And to brief this up, if you've got a gallery item to
Doug?
show, just let us know, like this guy.
He's always got something.
Well, wanted to follow up on last week. There's our little coin bowl with our calabash with the nice flash. And I decided not to put it back on the lathe. I did buff it good, so it's got a pretty good shine on it just from buffing it. So there's that. Then there was a challenge. It was not a challenge, but it was I don't know what to call it. They just do a hashtag week to encourage people to get out in the shop and make something different, possibly something different than what they've ever done before. And so this was my contribution for it. It's a goblet, and so that's a piece of green pear. Been enjoying turning some pear. It's turned so nice, nice and hollow on the inside. Painted that top a little burn line to break it between the red dye and the plain. So anyway, what is that? About 8 inches tall, about 2.5 in diameter. Didn't go real thin on the stem. Stayed with that's probably the heaviest stem I've ever done on a true goblet. So anyway, that was a lot of fun. And then the people that gave me this pear tree always like to return a piece to them, to whoever gives me a bunch of wood. And so I turned them a bit of a bowl, about an 8.5 inch bowl.
That's a nice bowl. I like the rim.
Yeah, it's kind of different.
Little rim on the top, so when they go to pick it up, they have something to hold on to. Did my usual bottom with the 3 lines. That's got my name, the pear, and the date that it was turned. So anyway, you know, this pear doesn't have a lot in it in the wood itself, so I depend on the finish to give it something. And it did bring out the grain in it a bit, so that you can see just a little in there. But anyway, it's just nice and clean.
Sure is fun to turn.
Yes, it was a blast to turn.
Have you tried staining that?
Very
at all?
pretty, nice, simple design.
That's what I did with this one.
Okay, so that's
Man.
stain. All right, cool.
Yeah, that's intrinsic colors.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can see it's translucent. Yeah, you can see right through it. Yeah.
I was wondering if it would bring out the grain more if you did that. So okay, thanks.
There you go. Change the angle on the light there.
Oh yeah, I like
that.
Oh, we missed that the first time.
Looks like a monkey.
Very cool.
In there.
Especially right in there.
Monkey right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does sound like a monkey.
Or a chupacabra.
But it comes out pretty nice.
You got Eddie's picture in there. How'd you get Eddie inside there?
Nice job there, Doug.
All
right, let's go to. See, this guy hasn't been on for a while now.
Who's that?
Well, he's just there, but then who's this guy?
Yeah,
I haven't turned anything.
Everything been all right?
In almost a month.
Been AWOL.
Well, yeah, I have been because I bought a shop.
Wow.
With a 4-bedroom house on the property, but forget that. I bought a shop. I was working in a 12 by 10 shed on a rental property, and our lease was up when the 18-year-old graduated high school, and so we found a nice house here in Thomasville, North Carolina. There's the backside, the backyard.
Nice.
But
that's great.
Most important, 32 by 24.
That's big.
Yes.
Well, congratulations, man. That's awesome.
And room to grow.
Couple days building workbenches. I just put the lathe on the stand this morning. Haven't even turned it on yet. So that's where I've been. Sorry, I've been AWOL, but I've been house hunting in this economy is horrifying. It is absolutely dreadful.
Oh,
but
you got through it.
Full swing. I'm sorry, I did. Yeah, I survived barely.
You got a nice one.
We managed. what kills me is we paid 130,000 over the last tax value, and it appraised for $1,000 more than what we paid. This economy is ridiculous, but we didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I've done. I bought a
Big
shop.
shop.
There you
Nice.
go. Well, congrats, man.
That's all that
Congrats.
matters right there.
Gotta
Congratulations.
be happy with it.
A high ceiling too. That's
Oh.
great.
Oh yeah, I'm ecstatic. I'm ecstatic. This is wonderful. I got all my wood, all my stock put up off the ground on shelving. And that's you can't really see it back there in the back real well, but that's wire shelving, so there's air circulation, so everything is dry as it can get in 97% humidity.
I give you 1 year and you've outgrown it. It won't be big.
We'll see. I hope so. I hope I need elbow room in a year. That'd be great. One of the
Isn't that what
projects I am. Go ahead.
Isn't that one of Murphy's laws? The amount of stuff you have expands to fill available space.
To fill the available space. As long as it's tools, I'm good with that.
Yeah.
One project I am going to be working on, and I'll be chronicling, is on the outside of that wall. I've got just a nice big blank area with 75% of the day sun coverage. So I'm going to build a solar kiln out there.
Ooh.
I will be doing updates and stuff with that on my I don't know, Facebook page and probably my YouTube channel. So
Where are you at?
I'm in Thomasville now, North Carolina.
Thomasville, North Carolina.
It's country.
Find out how far you are from me.
It's beautiful. So that's where I've been. And fittingly enough, the last piece I turned in my old shop was an urn. So I will not be turning an urn tomorrow for my first piece. But I thought that was fitting.
Well, it's good to see you back, bud. Good to see you.
Yes.
Good to be back.
Hope to see you weekly now.
Yeah, now that I'm not trying to find a house, scrambling.
Wow. Coming back to the house yesterday, I mentioned my wife for the first time in a long time that I saw a for sale sign in our entire area. I know things move slow now, but I'm like Joaquin. I would like to downsize now. My wife would love it. There's nothing we can find. So it's a different world out there right now. But we are doing gallery right now. But I have to warn you, folks, that is right now only 49 days away from SWAT. 49 days. And that totals out to be, a whole lot of weeks. Like
7, Eddie. 7 weeks.
Yeah, month and 3 weeks.
I'm looking at a number here. I wrote
month and 19 days.
Wow. It's make your plans. It's time's running out. And I talked to a couple of folks. We mentioned last week that the AAW may have had a lesser attendance. I talked to three vendors that I know that went there and were extremely disappointed at the attendance and the purchasing. And I can understand both based on what's happening in the world today. But they're hoping that the guys, the turners, come out and help them and SWAT. And I said, just put it on sale. All right. Last week, I asked you, turners, for your opinions, and it was mainly on your opinion concerning what is your preferred finish. And we had some good information come back. I'd like to continue to pursue that a little bit, and that we don't necessarily want to go, I use this product and it's so much better than that product and all. it might be, but let's find out what you're doing for your stages of your piece. That helps out novice turners more than product, honestly. I don't want somebody to say I can't do that because I can't afford to buy Kenny's finish. No, our goal here is to help people turn wood, not help businesses sell product. So if you have a product, I mean a process, I sand, I started making those ones the other day. I sand, and then I wet sand, and then I resand, and then I seal, and I buff that, I seal again, and I buff that, and then I put my OB Shine uses something to build up get the surface nice and even, and then I do latex. The lacquer or the 408 or one of those things, and then I buff again using such and such, and I mean it filled the whole note page when I put all the variations. I mean, it was one little thing, and it became a spider web because the abilities to change are endless. And what I like to see is explanations for novice turners that they can follow along. And that's where our demonstrations are. I mean, tonight, Matt Harber is going to show us something on dot painting. If you tell somebody who's starting a turn that we're going to explain dot painting, say, what's that? What the hell does that got to do with the wood turn? Just like we started out with Ronnie and them about talking lasers. And Brenda just showed you a bracelet she made that was laser engraved. And when Brenda does a demonstration on how to put a watch in that, because who's it? Billy Dillard says that can happen. You could put a watch in one. So, but sometimes there are little additions to what we do that folks can do or create or manage on their own without a lot of assistance. They used to have the door open. Yeah, Billy showed that laser way back when. And the next day I bought mine. Same model that he was showing, Master S, Master 2 or whatever. Because I had for years wanted a laser. And before I had my tumor, it was in my book, but they were like $4,000 or $5,000. Still in my book, still in my plans. I got into it for $231. 231, yeah. And I'm still, and I changed the laser with Brenda's help, Nancy McIntyre's help, and it's still there. I'd like to get the big one like Ronnie's got, but maybe that's coming. But you know what? I'm doing a lot on these things and I'm having fun, and I can add to everything I'm turning now. And as somebody showed us one day, I'm going back with old pieces that I turned and adding an engraved logo on it, things like that. The piece Ronnie showed us at Kenold, he had a beautiful piece of artwork that he designed and put it on the bottom of his piece with J. Bonnet and something else around the outside. But he designed that using that software. And Ronnie and I first got talking, he said, software. I don't know if I want to fool around with software. Well, he's talking Rich, he's rock and rolling, that's all. I just got off the track here because I was asking about finishes. Please explain the finish you prefer. And just put it in chat, that's all, just put it in chat. If you like to chat, that you want to talk about it, it's fine. Just say I have something to share, and Dane will call on you. Dane warning you straight out. We have a miniature member. I saw him walking around. I think he's in Canada. Saw him walking around yesterday. If you saw this on Facebook, it's cool. But he had a skew in his back pocket. That's it. I think his dad might be with us tonight. To you know, and every time we show him, it's oh, you know. Do you hear that a lot, Cade?
Pardon? Sorry, did I hear what a lot? Hi, everyone.
Oh. The old ladies in the grocery store go, oh.
Oh, yeah,
baby.
yeah. Mr. Cash. Yeah, he's
Yep.
a chick magnet. But
Yeah.
I'm happily married.
Yeah, he's a beautiful boy. He is.
Yeah, he's great. He's just playing over here in the corner. I keep keeping an eye on him so he doesn't go after the cat. But it was his birthday on Saturday, so he had a blast. He's 1 year old already.
Already? Wow.
I know, time flies by.
Time flies.
Time never flew by so fast until I had a kid. Time used to drag. But
You just wait.
But yeah, he'll have a skew in his back pocket in no time.
Yeah. Beautiful boy. Beautiful boy.
I was watching the some of the photos from the AAW and their youth program, and I keep showing my wife, hey, look at how young they're starting. Look at how young they're starting. He can start at 6 or 8 years old. She's like, no way, 10. I'm like, we'll see. As soon as he can stand on a milk crate and wear a face shield.
Yep. It sure does, Mask. There's no reason why they can't start younger.
Yeah. He'll be
And
my little
Depends on the kid, too.
do you know they'll never regret that in their entire life? They'll never regret learning something like that. And when a kid, when he's 10 to 12 years old, take him out and let him help you change a tire, or the oil in your car, or
Put air in the tire.
any of those things. Take him through what you would do as your normal life chores. Make him your partner, you know, and they will never forget it. My oldest daughter is a better contract type builder or whatever than her husband ever was. I went there one day and said, "Oh, you got wood flooring?" And she says, "Yeah, I put it in the other day."
That's great.
But that's how she was raised. Her and I went to one of my job sites one night. I was working, had a double shift going, and I went down to visit with the guys. And one of my favorite carpenters said, "Don't get on that cement sidewalk." And she looked at him and said, "It's not a cement sidewalk. It's concrete, and it's made of cement, sand, and another aggregate with water added for a bonding agent." He liked her flipped out. She was maybe 5 or 6 years old.
Oh, yeah? Cool.
But she knew it. And now she, one of her sidelines is she builds lawn furniture, patio furniture, and all out of pallets. So don't tell me that girl can't resort. She's resourceful. She used to acid etch glassware and sell it she had a store in the mall. But it's when you share that information. That's we talked about a minute ago with Kate. When you share that information and you bring them up exposed to it, they will live better and longer. They will.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And you know how much pride you get when you can tell somebody, "My kid made this," you know. And it's not the little squiggly hand thing on the refrigerator. You know, "My kid made this." You know, you walk around and tell everybody about it. Our manufacturing team went with us to SWAT 4 or 5 years ago, and I got all 4 of those: the husband, wife, and 2 excellent children, boys. I had them all turn pens, and they were so proud walking around the pen. The next day, they walked up to Lyle Jameson was talking to Lyle, and they came up and said, "Turn the pen." And Lyle said, "Where's your pen?" "It's up in the room." "Well, you go now and get that pen, and you never go anywhere without it in your pocket. You made that pen." And that kid went and got his pen out the room. He was proud that he walked around showing everybody, and Lyle took him by the hand to show him some other folks. Look, he never turned anything in his life, and he turned this yesterday. So, but it's great to see that in a kid, especially see the scout troops and the places and summer camps, like the kids, the Christian groups that do summer camps. They endorse or enhance that, to actually learn something, and do something instead of this. Yeah. So, I'm looking at chat. I'm gonna have to read this whole thing later because I'm really lost where it went. Where folks were still turning Freedom pens, that's right. We talked about the 22 pen project, and that was brought to us by one of our attorneys, Morgan, who asked us to be part of the 22 pen project, and that was, and I'm a vet, and I'm sensitive about this, that was because 22, on the average, 22 veterans take their life every day. And it's a terrible number. It's a terrible statistic. It's fact. So the 22 pen thing was turn to 22 pens that will go to places that help support veterans coming through hard times, living with and surviving PTSD. Last weekend was hell, honestly. I worked in the EOD, exposure ordnance disposal. We got to play with some of the nastiest things in the whole world, and it just last weekend with all.
Oh, sorry. Cash
No, that's all right.
Ain't getting hollered at, huh?
Here he is. Ready, Cash? Go.
There's Cash. Oh. Another couple years, you have your daddy's beard, kid.
Hi, Cash. Hi there.
He grabs my phone to see who I'm talking to and what I'm looking at. Like, hey, I want to watch too.
Hi, Cash.
There, big boy.
Ready? Go. He's shy now.
Yeah, don't do this.
Nope.
People are watching.
Not today, Dad.
There you go. Now he's
He's
laughing.
laughing at you.
Well, you
Look
got
at him
a little-
He's almost ready to start walking by himself.
Almost.
Yeah, I know. He's
Pushing his
almost
stroller
there.
already, yeah.
Yeah, he's been walking a couple steps here and there in the living room without the furniture. Oh, see, he wants to see who I'm talking to. Who are you talking to, Dad? Right?
Hi, Cash.
Smiley.
Oh, he's smiling.
Yeah, she's like that funny guy on there from the other day.
Right? Who's that funny looking guy?
Hey, Cash.
All of us.
Yeah, right. Hey, Cash, you got more hair than I do. You got more hair than half the men in this group.
That's right.
Yeah. Ain't it on me.
It just ain't fair, I tell you.
Yeah, I know. And he's starting to look like Doug Rowe. Doug is starting to fill in a little bit. Hope I can find that photograph I have of Doug. I'll have to look into the archives and see it. I had a picture of him the other day I got from his family. And let's see if I can find it here.
Doug's come in out of the shop yet. We've been turning all day.
He had a live one going today, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
A couple of times.
Then he broke the bolts off then?
Yeah, his screws twisted off on his faceplate.
Yeah. I was just watching that before the show.
I got that photograph because he's so proud after he left the Army. There he is. He's put on a little weight, but
Ooh la la.
Oh.
the color kind of goes. I mean, it's green. He was Army, you know. So yeah.
I can't
That's not
unsee
his
that.
color.
So
You can unsee that.
I don't have any bleach in my shop for my eyes.
I
At least it's not a
apologize.
dress.
I almost apologize for that, but we haven't considered it Doug Rowe. I have another one.
Right.
I'm going to hold on to it for a while because this one may drive him away. Members, if you don't know, everything's fair as long as it's fair. We talk about each other, we kid with each other. As you saw, Dane joined the Band-Aid Brigade. If you
Sure did.
If you don't understand what that is, we started that a long time ago, and the person that started it is in charge of it, and that's Brenda Thornton. She started the Band-Aid Brigade because she would come away wounded on a regular basis, and it's grown. We've had a lot of fun with it. I wish we could go back to the graphics, but I can't with my limited internet access. Can't do that yet. I was telling the boss today we're waiting for something to happen, and then we can upgrade this internet again. Because she's in the front of the house in her studio. Can't have the internet on at all because I'll lose the bandwidth I need to just be here. So, and y'all know if I get busy, all of a sudden I'm going. All right, let's see something. We've got Andy.
Yes, sir.
Ron Radcliffe is here. He sent me. You need to share that popcorn.
Oh, it's all gone. I'm sorry.
We try to be fair.
I hate to see what it costs to ship popcorn to Washington State these days. I just got an order from Penn State Industries. Their cheapest one was $23.
The cheapest shipping charge was $23.
That was their cheapest.
Wow.
They used to have $9.95 ground shipping and $6.95 ground shipping, and it was only $100 order.
Do they still reimburse?
$23 for shipping.
Do they
What's
still
that?
reimburse for the difference in shipping of what the actual cost is, or do they not do that anymore?
I got my invoice in. It was $22.95 for shipping. And the option they used to have on their site when you're checking out about shipping, it was like there's a $9.95 one, and one that took like 5 to 10 days was $6.95. Those two were gone.
Huh.
Yeah, you gotta watch where you buy stuff. Some places don't charge you any taxes. Some places don't charge any shipping. You gotta go in and look at the price and compare the final charge.
Well, I've been using Penn State for the last couple of years, and they've always done me good. Penn State and Woodcraft.
Yep.
But
Yep.
it's going to be a while before I do a Penn State again.
Yeah, sorry to hear that.
Yeah, that's crappy. Guess they're trying to recover all their COVID losses like many other businesses.
Yeah.
You have that.
I remember sort of looking at Arizona and Berea and some other places. Woodcraft's bad.
You know who I'm thinking of? It's Wood Turnings with the Z
Yes.
that
Yeah.
reimburses the shipping.
Okay.
Wood Turners Wonders?
Yeah, Wood Turnings with a Z.
Wood Turnings with a Z. But Ryan handles most of the PSI stuff and carries it, and you can get it quicker, and it doesn't cost as much shipping wise.
And typically, it's a cheaper price than PS Penn State. If I remember right, I haven't bought pin kits there in forever, but I'll buy liquor pours from there.
It's one
PSI.
Yeah, he sells the PSI stuff, and it's one hop cheaper with Wood Turnings. Yeah, basically, like if you're going to buy 5 of them, 5 kits at through PSI, then he'll give you if you're buying 10 kits price, if you know what I mean. If it's like $1.59 for 5 and $1.42 for 10, he'll give you the $1.42 price.
Okay.
Yeah, there's something like that. Yeah. I haven't bought anything from him in a while either, but that's how he used to do it.
Yeah.
There's a place up
Like I
here
said,
too.
he'll refund the difference in shipping costs. You know, so you might get charged $10, but it turns out it only costs $4. He'll refund the $6 to you.
Okay.
Cool.
Well, thanks for that one, guys.
Yeah, there's a place up here too called William Woodwright, and it's WRITE, William Woodwright. And with the currency exchange, it might actually be cheaper for you to order them here and have them come across the border, even with shipping.
What
But
do you mean?
check
I
them
thought
out.
shipping would be atrocious coming across the border these days.
You never know. I know shipping for me to come across the border here, anything from Penn State, even if it's $100 order or a $50 order, it's a minimum $50 shipping charge. And then they might charge me pure later or brokerage or customs or tariff, but it's not so bad going the other way.
Okay.
Right. Shipping from here to you, Kate, is horrible. But
Oh, it's
coming
ridiculous.
this way, it's not so bad.
It's not
Yeah.
so bad. Okay.
So I
Keep
just
that in mind.
ordered something from Bear Woods, which is in I think Richmond, British Columbia, and the shipping was either $8.99 or $9.99.
Well, that ain't bad at all.
That's cheap.
It's you know, I ordered it on Friday, so we had the holiday, and I'm supposed to get it. You know, I think it's next on the 12th, 6th or no, today's on the 12th next week.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I'll
it's pretty
definitely
quick.
go elsewhere.
I can't cry about the shipping fee on that.
No.
And then the same thing, I ordered some stuff from Lee Valley from the Canadian side and some carving knives a couple months ago, and I don't know, it might have been $5, $6 for shipping.
That ain't nothing anymore.
Right.
No.
Well, yeah, compared to ours. You know. Yep.
Yeah. Penn State was my go-to for the last 3 years or so for pens, either Penn State or Hut Products or if I want a little better quality, I'd either go Woodcraft or Hut Products.
Woodturnings with a Z.com.
I will definitely look into them next time.
Yeah,
Thank
it's there. Both those sites are in the chat, you guys.
Yeah,
Right on.
there. I just put it in. I mistyped it the first time, so the second time I wrote it the right way. WilliamWoodwright.com. And he's got all kinds of stuff, just the same stuff Penn State would have.
Okay,
Or
great,
Bria would have too.
No, necessarily. These are ideas, not necessarily endorsements.
Yep.
Somebody put in, Bob Hodge put in that Packard has got free shipping going at the moment if you're signed up with their email notifications. And I know we all avoid those email notifications, but we would turn us. We'll live with it.
Yeah.
But sometimes you sign up. I mean, I still get my Penn State catalogs, every week, 10 days, whatever they come out.
At least.
Yeah.
I have a stockpile of Penn State stuff. I got an entire shelf full of kits that I hadn't gotten to. So I'm going to get to these kits first. I know Canada's been a problem for when I was still shipping goods because we have to go through USPS's stamps.com thing, and then you have to get a rate back and all that. But it's fun. They'll charge you that, but there's no tracking after it leaves our post office. They can't provide tracking for us, which used to make some of our customers upset because you send it to me and you don't know where it's at. I don't know where the letter's at if you send a letter.
Hey Andy, try Beartooth Woods out of I think they're out
I
of
will have to
Colorado.
check them out too. I will definitely have to check them out.
Yeah, Ernie at Beartooth and Barry Gross at Arizona Silhouette both sell Berea stuff, and Ernie sells other stuff as well.
Didn't Classic Nib sell, or didn't Barry sell Silhouette to Classic Nib? It's now Neil's.
It has. He was in the last I heard. He was in the process of selling it to Classic
sold
Nib.
it.
I don't know if that's gone through or not.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, I
gone
heard
through.
about it was getting sold like a while ago, last year.
Yeah, classicneb.com's got them now.
Okay.
A lot of people jumping out of that kind of business. If it's a personal business, you often have to think about what age gets them, and there was no backup to retire, but they have to leave it. Ruth Niles ran Niles Bottle Stoppers forever, and she sold the operation to that outlaw on the West Coast, Carl Jacobson.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a wanted poster with his picture on it here. But Carl bought the operation, but he's still using the finest tooling company.
Carl or Robin? I thought Robin got it.
Well, let me tell you.
Depends what their tax person says, I think.
If we think Carl has it, Robin had it, or Robin got it. That's right.
I think Robin lets Carl play along.
Yeah.
Yeah, good couple, fun couple. They still use
Yeah, they
Paula
are.
Holmes, an old friend of mine, to do the stoppers for him. And if there's a finer machinist in the world, I've never met him. He does excellent. He's a good person and does good work. And it's a family operation. We were talking about shipping a minute ago, and somebody, this it used to be this and get that. I think, personal opinion here is, if you can talk to somebody who's got some actual input to the firm, they can reduce the shipping for you, make a deal for you. But when you're talking to a phone operator or dealing with a computer, that's not going to happen. I always like person-to-person purchases. It's like people buying a car over the internet. Come on, give those guys a break. Joaquin says that he lost his internet due to a lightning strike. Oh,
Well.
man. He just got back and now he's out. What a bummer.
Yeah, I was just looking at Beartooth Woods. They have a flat rate shipping rate of $8.95 on any size box.
Oh, I know. I think I know who I'm going to set up an account with.
There you go.
That ain't bad.
Ain't bad at all.
That's any size order, it says.
One pen
Yeah.
or 100, great.
You won't be disappointed. And and Ernie stands behind the stuff too. So if you have one that like a transmission doesn't work or something, he'll replace it for you.
And he's fast.
Great.
Super fast.
Yeah. I mean, I've had no problem with Penn State if I have problems right on the phone and it's shipped out the next day.
Careful.
Yeah,
They charge you tax and shipping at Penn State. They get you both times.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'm even in the same state. They're in Philly. I'm in Pittsburgh area.
If you can get free tax, then the shipping doesn't matter. If you got to pay both of them, then it sucks.
Oh, yeah, it does.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I'm in Pennsylvania. Everybody gets taxed.
I live in California.
There was a
Everybody gets taxed
Supreme
twice.
Court ruling on tax, sales tax.
Just remember, the Boston Tea Party was over a 5-cent tax on tea. So, you know what our forefathers would be doing right now.
It was a lot more before that, but that was just the final draws. I'll tell you what.
That's what we hung. That's what they hung the hat on.
Yeah.
I know the whole history. I was just.
I got one for you all. I ordered some cutters a few days back, and my God, I called the company up, and the guy that answered the phone came up on FaceTime. We got to talk face to face. Took my order while driving down the road in the car, and in 3 days I had it in my mailbox, and $6 shipping.
That's awesome.
You gotta like that.
Can't beat that.
Can't beat that with a stick at all.
That's right. Yeah, I think I know that guy.
Yeah, be careful.
I may have ordered from him recently myself.
I got an order too.
No endorsements. No endorsements.
No, I have no idea who this guy is. I never talked to him, but his shipping's really good. Prices are right.
All right, good. No
Put my order in.
endorsements. That's one of the rules there.
very used. I use carbide very rarely anymore, but I needed some new ones.
Uh, I had a guy call the other day that said, "I'd like to explain how to do something on a demonstration." I couldn't stop him then because I don't think it was my place to stop him. But my place is to decide never to have him with us talking the way he talked. He didn't understand that a couple of words are, not to be used in conversation. And he couldn't stay off of them. I'm thinking we can't. That's one of our rules. We can't. You can't come in and call that. That's not what you can do. Remember, you have to be civil. No religion, no politics, and that's what. No, and the no but guarantee. And I got
Very
kids
limited
about
use of
that.
adjectives.
Yeah, I got kids about that.
Exactly. I mean,
Yeah,
you
no
gotta be
but.
nice. Don't want to work cash already. He just turned a year old.
But
Yeah, but we're in homes of people who don't tolerate that whatsoever. And I know them, and they're sitting there right now. And if we didn't keep a civil tone and get rid of attitudes, we're not fulfilling our mission. Our mission is to share information, not be offensive, and not be owned by anybody. So I'm real careful about the promotion stuff, and if it looks like somebody's going to do self promotion, they got to sell this or sell that. And you've seen it in demonstrations here, where people show us the tools they're using, all with the brand names, all. Yeah, if that's what you like, that's fine. We have turners out there using Harbor Freight tools and shop built tools. And on wooden lathes they built in their own shop because their lathe crapped out and they couldn't get help getting it fixed or whatever. I mean, we've got some awesome artists with us. It's never that tool. Remember, it's in your heart.
Right.
That's it.
I'm still using it. I use the PSI tools. Benjamin's best. Sharpen them a little more, but they work for me.
Yeah. I'm not real cool on powdered metal tools. You can, I don't want to argue with you. We can discuss it, but I'm not real cool on it. I'm really cool on high speed and my grinder. That's what I'm cool on right there. I feel like that when I started cabinet making, there was an old man that was a teacher at the Delgado. He was from Homer, where Billy's at, Mr. Dewey. And the first week or two in class, and I was there for 4 years. First week or two in class, Dewey would come up and check your tools to see if they were sharp, and immediately pound them down on top of the desk and say, "When they're sharp, bring them back. Until you learn how to sharp, you don't get to use them." And he quickly learned how to sharpen, because he could get a brand new one out of the cabinet and get one he just sharpened. You couldn't tell the difference between them, especially plane irons and chisels. That was the deal. If your chisel didn't look good, give it up. We would add to chisel our wood, not gouge it out or tear it out.
Oh, I never found a chisel sharp out of the box anyhow.
They don't exist. Well, ICB does.
Yeah, there's a few.
ICB comes through Rob Cosman's hands, and they get delivered to you razor sharp.
Oh yeah.
That's
and
how,
the backs are flattened.
That's how Dave at D-Way Tools used to be. Every tool out of his shop, he put it in a box. There was no middleman. His wife took the orders, and they had it. When you got that tool, if you asked for a Ellsworth grind on a deep V gouge or whatever, it came ground as an Ellsworth grind, and so you had a pattern to follow for the rest of the time you used it. And we talk about what degree, what angle, what numbers, and all that. If you're using a tool and it works, what in the heck has that got to do with anything? The number and the pattern and the line of, what's it gonna? I mean, you're gonna argue with me how I sharpen my pocket knife? I'll bleed on a sharp. I'll bleed on a dull one better now, more than I'll bleed on a sharp one. I know how to say that. Larry Brown said, "How is the parking at SWAT?" Awesome, Larry. Right out in front's a huge parking lot. Across the street's a hotel parking lot. Across the street the other way is a bunch of restaurants. Parking's not a problem, and you don't pay for it. Yeah, that's to be 49 days from today's SWAT in Waco, Texas. Personal opinion, best symposium ever. But when you get the package, there's meals. So you don't have to eat a taco in a little stand inside the convention hall is going to cost you $8 or something. That's not part of it. They bring in a caterer who brings in real food. Look at me. Did I miss real food? No. So, but that's part of the program there. And in the afternoons and evenings when it wraps up, there's probably 4 or 5 restaurants in walking distance, and 10 minutes away by car is one of the better barbecue places in Texas. So it's a pretty good program. It is. And no matter what, you're all invited. And no matter what people say about you, you're still invited. I mean, well, I don't want to drop names, but they got some rough.
I mean, they even let me come, so.
I didn't want to say that, man. I didn't want to throw that out there, Billy. But yeah, Billy, and there was something. Oh man, Gary from over that way. He told me the other day he can't miss it if it doesn't happen. And this is their 30th anniversary. I've been going there for over 20 years. This is their 30th anniversary, and they're gonna they'll probably have original members and original founders there for that celebration. Because they have a good time. They do. Great raffle, or it's a they have an auction, but they also draw tickets for prizes, and it's a fun time. It is, and especially if you were ever in a club or an organization. Yeah, I was in the military. Sometimes we had activities like that, and you just have a blast with people at the table with you. I've had it where we all put up $1, and everybody at the table puts up $1, and the first number at the table that gets called gets the money. You might forget the prize. You won't forget taking your friend's money. Bob Moffitt popped in a little bit earlier this evening. Dane, can we bring up Bob? He's got something to show tonight.
I'm bringing him up now.
I got a piece. Had a neighbor that was a wood turner. I never knew him, but he passed away, and his wife gave me some bowls that he hadn't finished, that he'd roughed out and left. So I finished up a couple, and this is one that I did, and it had a crack where there'd been a knot down one side of it, right here. So I thought, well, what am I going to do to fix that? So I thought I'd just carve that down, and then went all around like it never had been.
Nice, Bob.
Wow.
That's
pretty
nice.
Very
Fantastic
beautiful
piece of wood.
Oh,
Great
nice.
It's a
scalloping.
piece of ambrosia maple.
That's very nice.
Oh yeah, that is gorgeous.
Got some
I was
burley in
going
it.
to color it. I
I
was
thought it was
planning on
burley.
coloring it while it was rough, and then once I got the
Salted.
roughness turned away, I thought, well, that's too pretty to color.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
But I
with
did
you.
get a little text. I did get a little texture on the bottom.
Well, that's
There you go.
understandable.
Some beautiful spalting.
Thank you. Yeah, this was a
Nice
pretty
job,
piece
Bob.
of wood. I always hate to give it back to her.
Really
All
nice.
right, thank you. Beautiful.
Doesn't look
That's what I
anything.
have.
Doesn't look anything like
Really?
a birdhouse, does it?
Well, it's a
Bob,
bird, it's a
that's
bird,
birdhouse,
it's a bird
Bob.
bath.
Okay, bird bath.
There you go.
And see, it's got
All right.
different peaks for the birds to be in.
If you're new to the meetings, this is Birdhouse Bob, and it's not a slam. He's a birdhouse guy. He really is.
I'll tell you what, that pipe that Dane's got there, that could be a bird bath. That thing's
Sure
big
could.
enough.
I think you put a whole can of Prince Albert in it.
It might be a hot tub for them.
Yeah, there you go.
Nice maple burl sitting there.
And that's a turned project. That's nice.
That's cool.
Questions, what's he smoking in that?
Don't ask that. Don't ask that.
Don't ask that.
Pure
Left hand or
tobacco.
right
He's
hand?
got back for Brenda's. Don't ask that.
Yeah, we're a family program. That's right. Might be.
Right.
He's
Hey,
got some maplewood shavings in there. That's what it. Maplewood shavings. Who we got,
All right,
Dan?
well, hey, Billy Burt's got something for us. Hey,
Billy.
I got a couple of things. I don't know how well you can. Yeah, you can see it. You can't see the colors real well.
Oh, I like that.
Oh, you
That's
can now.
nice.
It's got yellows and greens and tangerine in it. It's pine.
Yeah.
This is, believe it or not, this is pallet wood. I glued up 3 pieces of pallet wood, and I want you to see. Look over here by that knot. See that chatoyance?
Wow.
People say pine. Who wants to turn pine? There's chatoyance all over this. Well, you can see it up here at the top too.
Yeah.
There's chatoyance all through this thing. And it's like I made it too thin though.
It's never too thin. That looks great.
But I was playing with pine because, well, I wanted to show you could.
That is
and
nice.
I did my first economy bowl out of a 3/4 inch piece of walnut. It's about 5 inches in diameter. And I added a CPO bottom to it because when I cut my rings out, the bottom ring was, well, the base was maybe a 1/2 inch in diameter at the bottom, and that wasn't big enough. So I cut a piece of CPO, African mahogany, I was told it is, but it's pretty too. Look at the ribbons in it.
Yep.
Gorgeous.
So I put that on the bottom, and I've always been wanting to do one of these. Finally did.
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Looks good.
Nice work.
Right.
All right. In a
Thank
few
you.
moments, we're going to go to Matt Harber. He's going to do a demonstration for us this evening on the dot painting. And that's a good way to embellish. Come on, Cash, calm down. Embellish your work, add to it. Billy just said the piece has got chatoyance in it. And sometimes you say, why are you going to turn pine or and that number 2 pine, that's building materials. You can get a piece of 2x12 if you can afford it and turn something out of it. And it's a good platter piece. Okay. And Billy got his really thin. Then snack piece, you can play with the profile. Number 1, draw it out on a piece of graph paper so you have an idea of what your target is, so you don't create a funnel or a horse ring. But the other is, when you're cutting pine, it's a crummy wood to turn, really. So you're going to learn technique and how to sharpen, because you have to make sweeping, slicing cuts. If you go in and hog it out, it's going to look, you'll be sanding it for a 1/4 inch. So sweeping, slicing cuts. But the chatoyance is where I was going. Almost all woods have chatoyance to a degree. Almost all. Some exotics and some of our rare types don't necessarily have it because of grain structure. But you can turn something like Billy just turned and sand it and finish it wrong, and you'll see nothing. It'll be plain as whatever. But when you cut it right and you sand it right and you finish right, that you see that knot that was on that piece of Billy, that thing was sparkling at you. If it was on a wall in the front of a platter or a plate or in a holder, it would wink at you when you crossed the room, really. And that's the beauty of the proper finish and sanding techniques. There's nothing comes out of a bottle that'll replace the talent that's in your hands. Nothing. If you believe I'm going to buy Kenny's paste and all this stuff and it's going to be a miracle finish, ain't got it. You can dip it in glass and it won't have chatoyance if you don't have it sanded out right. So, or finished out right. Remember, I'm asking the second or third week, I'm asking, what is your preferred finish? Put it in the chat, if you would, please, just tell us what you like to have on a finish. And you don't have to bring all the product names. You can just say, I do this, I do this, I do this, I do this. But then if you are locked in on a particular product for a reason whatsoever, put it in there too. That is the free area in this program, this meeting, is chat. And before you leave tonight, no matter what time it is, 3 little buttons at the bottom of the chat. One of them says save chat. Save it, put it on your computer. But if you miss it, get this. The world's greatest webmaster does our website, the world's greatest webmaster. And he updates it with all those ideas and a copy of the chat. We asked about what kind of lathe he used a while back. And we still take that information. But Dave put all that in the chat too. And I mean, on a website. He's the guy that develops a website. It's Dave. If you don't you agree with me? World's greatest wood turning website. And he does it. Boy, I tell you what. It's amazing how much time he gives this club. It is. Billy says, I mentioned antique oil last week, that Economy Bowl has antique oil finish on it, and the pine platter is deft gloss. Beautiful work, beautiful work. Yeah, and you can have your preferences, but Kate has done work with us and showed us a complete all finish on a piece. It looks like it was dipped in glass, but it's not a 5-minute finish. You can't wipe it on and wipe it off and put it on the shelf and say it's done. It takes a little time. And that's what we do. That's what we're here to share information about. Right now it's 7 o'clock, or top of the hour, wherever you are. We're gathered here for a weekly meeting of worldwidewoodturners.org. We have about 88 folks in the audience this morning, are the members, and they're out waiting for Matt Harber to do a demonstration on dot painting. And with that, we're going to get Matt to pop up. I can't see him, Dane. Can you see him?
I'm here. I'm here.
I got you.
Spotlight him. And all right, here's the guidance or rules on this, folks. Dane's going to do a demonstration for us. Copy that. Dane is going to do a demonstration. Matt's
going to do a demonstration.
You know, I don't know names. Matt's going to do a demonstration for us. That's Matt doing the demonstration.
Whatever his name is.
Let's
Matt,
let
take it away, buddy.
Yeah, and
I'll let you call me whatever you want, Eddie. Because I'm not on the lathe tonight. I'm just painting. I welcome any kind of talk back or questions while I'm doing this. I'm not doing anything dangerous, and I'm not worried about screwing anything up. So feel free to ask questions at any point. Okay.
All right. With that, we're going to mute everybody. Matt, you come back off of mute, and
okay.
I'm going to press this, and then you go, Matt. You go on mute.
All right. I'm back unmuted. Those who've been in the meetings when I've showed some of this stuff know that this journey for me with the dot painting started about a month ago at Ron Campbell's Hands-On Retreat with a class that I took there. And these 3 pieces here, this one, and this one, were all pieces that I did in that class. And the first, these are just inexpensive wood medallions. And the first thing we did was paint them black. Now, traditionally, or I should say, I don't know about traditionally, but the most common way that people use this is they're painting on dark rocks, okay? And often they will take a rounded river rock that they find and paint the rock black and start there. And there are molds you can buy to make your own rocks, which people do. So keep in mind that that's something that's out there. So the next piece that I did was, and you'll see this piece again and again, is I made this walnut box. And the reason why I chose walnut for this, and then I did dot painting on the top of it. And the reason why I chose walnut for this is because it was already fairly dark. And the paints that I used on this were a pearlescent acrylic paint that required no thinning and a Delta Ceramcoat kind of purple paint or whatever that says vintage wine. And this did require a little bit of thinning. And for thinning on that, I use Floetrol. All right, so let me get into that's my experience, most of my experience with it so far, but let me get into the document I have on it. So this is my little document on it. I first wanted to touch on the tools. Okay, most of these things are things that you can find around the house, things like toothpicks and Q-tips and mixing sticks. People traditionally use watercolor pencils to sketch designs or draw, draw the marks with the stencils. Primarily, you do that because they wipe up with a damp cloth or sponge. You can use like vegetable skewers as a stylus or for making larger dots. Okay, the next item, ball stylus dotting tools. I got these on Amazon, and that's that set in the upper right corner pictured here. I will primarily be using the wood-handled ones. They all have little steel balls on the end, or big steel balls, as the case may be. And the reason why you use these is they're very consistent with the paint. And what you do is you dip the ball in the paint, and then you put a dot on, and then you put each successive dot you do, they get smaller because there's less paint coming off. Okay, the next item here is a larger dotting tool set, which is the one pictured to the right with the multicolored handles. I have a set of these. I have not used them yet. I will show them and show a little bit of what I got with them. The stencils, you can make your own. The ones on the lower right are stencils I purchased. They're silicone. They are very flexible, so they'll fold around things like tops of boxes and stuff like that. The dotting people also use silicone rods for larger dots. I went and looked through my craft. Let me switch back to this for a minute. I went and looked through my craft drawer and discovered that I had some 3/8 inch dowels in there. So what I did is I just put them on the lathe. I cut them in half. So I took 4 of them, I cut them in half, and I put them on the lathe and made little various sizes. And I use these instead of silicone rods that people use instead of buying something. And they work great. And I'll show that tonight too. Okay, back to here. Plastic palette, that's that white thing right next to it there. This is just a simple plastic. You can buy these very inexpensively at any hobby store, probably at Walmart's. They clean up real easy. Paper towels, water, plastic cups. Any questions so far?
Please proceed, sir.
Okay. I'm using acrylic paints for all this. This is what everybody's using. You can use craft paints, stencil paints, artist tube paints. Acrylic paints all clean up with water. The right consistency is important. You want the paint to form a smooth, consistent drop. You do not want it to leave a peak or a spike when you pull your tool out of it. So the diagram here shows that. You don't want these little spikes or these little peaks when you pull the tool out of it, because then it won't form a round dot correctly, and it won't form a nice smooth surface correctly, and it'll look weird. Often you have to use a paint thinner. Supposedly Liquitex pouring medium is supposed to work well. I bought something on accident called acrylic medium, which actually makes the paint thicker. So the first time I did that, my stuff didn't come out well, and I had to sand it back off again because it looked cruddy. The thinner helps the paint last longer while you're working with it. It appears more glossy, which is prettier and forms better drops. So the people who are doing this professionally, they're using acrylic paints that, expensive, nice artist acrylic paints that come in tubes. It's usually pretty thick, and it requires a lot more thinning than normal craft store acrylics. Okay, so the paints that I showed earlier, this is something I bought. I don't know, the pearlescent paint was something I bought on a whim. It was inexpensive, and it's metallic and pearlescent, and it's really pretty. And this stuff is basic. I've had this for years. This Delta Ceram Coat is basic craft stencil paint. I got it at on Michael's years and years ago. This is the paint that I used. It's still viable. I painted a bunch of stencils on the walls of a house we built about 20 years ago with it. I still have the paints. They're still working just fine. This did require a little bit of Floetrol for it. Also, I have, tonight I'm going to use these Walmart acrylic paints, the apple barrel ones, and they work just fine, and they don't require any thinner, which is one of the reasons why I decided to use them. I don't have to mess with the thinner tonight. Any questions on this, on the paints at all?
No, good to know on that.
Yeah, it's interesting. You really want to, like, when you first put your paint in the little palette thing, and they make different sizes of these. This is a little big for what I'm doing. But when you first put your paint in here, you want to test it to see what sort of consistency it has, to see if you need to add thinner or if you need to make it thicker or whatever. So it's important to check that out, because if you don't, somewhere I've got a picture, I don't want to show it, but it's of the first attempt at this box lid I did. And it was yucky. And I was like, oh man. And I took it in the shop, put it on the vacuum truck, and sanded it all off. So.
Understandable. Good info. Thanks.
Yep. So that's important to know. So basic steps is create your canvas. Now, I've talked about this before when we've talked about decorating things. So the pieces I'm going to show tonight, I'm probably not going to get to the second one, but let me switch over to this. The pieces I'm going to paint on tonight is this piece here, which is a little maple test piece I did. This is another funnel from a shop. It's not very thick to begin with. I've been testing and showing things on this. But the important thing is I've got a center area that I can paint on, and I've got a rim that I can paint on. And both, they're clearly defined. Those will be my canvases. And this piece I showed I don't know, last meeting, this is also some bird's eye walnut. Turned out real pretty. And I intend to paint the rim on this, but not the center. So the real question about all this is, how do you adapt this to wood turning? Because, how do you take something that people are doing on stones and adapt it to wood turning? So I hope to give you some ideas tonight that can help. So this back to the document here. You first create your canvas for painting. I think of the wood turnings that I'm going to paint as a canvas rather than a wood turning. I mean, it's still a wood turning clearly, but it could mean a box lid or a platter with a wide rim, and so on. So, I'm doing a little a skull sweat ahead of time. Decide on a general layout, maybe sketch it out or lay it out with stencils or even a compass if you need to. And use the watercolor pencils if you're drawing on your piece so that you can clean it up. Now, I would like to say also that these pieces that I'm painting are sealed. They've got sanding sealer on them. I don't want the paint to seep into the wood. I don't want the paint to raise the grain. Get all that done. Get all your sealing and your sanding done ahead of time so that you've got a nice, clean, smooth, sealed surface to work with. Any questions on that?
What kind of sanding sealer do you use?
I'm using Deft lacquer-based sanding sealer.
Okay, got it.
Yep, and you could use straight up lacquer if you wanted to. It's not a heavy coat, it's a light coat. You want to raise the grain and sand it off so that you've got a sealed piece to work with. All right?
Yep.
Okay. So decide on your paint colors and mix your paints. Now, I'm going to show a sequence of mixing paints here, and I'm only going to use, for brevity, I'm going to use just like 3 different colors, okay? I'm going to mix 2 of them together. I'm going to use 2 colors and mix them together as for a third. But you could do this, if you had you wanted to go from dark blue to light purple or something, you could, do it in 8 steps if you mixed them all. I mean, I could take this thing here and put purple here and blue here, and then just mix them in varying degrees of white or blue or purple so that I got a gradiated color scheme to use for my dots, if that makes sense.
Sure does.
Okay, good.
Yeah, absolutely.
So in the fourth one will be continued on the next slide, which is begin dotting. Use a paint pen or a dotting tool to lay out your design. Some people use paint pens, and you might, I guess the bottom picture here doesn't really show that, but they don't have to be mandala form. They don't have to be. They can be spirals. They can be anything you want. But This bottom picture here shows how, the gradiated dots and how they work. And this person is clearly laid out. This is not one I did. Okay, this is from the internet. But this person clearly has laid out several spirals and is painting and then dotted them with a single dot of gold all down the lines and is now laying out the dots between them. And if you look closely, you can see at the bottom of that lower picture, you can see some of the watercolors layout lines that person used there. Some people will lay out spirals with a gold pen, a paint pen, and then dot between them, and or lay out the mandala with gold paint pen. I see people doing what they call flower of life, which is a 6-sided expanding design and they lay out the whole design with a paint pen and then dot between the lines, which is pretty interesting. But typically on the stones, people will begin the pattern at the center and then expand outward. Now, I would like to say one more thing. I did sort of do that on this box top. Okay, oops, there. So I started at the center and I did these, that center dot, and then I did the dots around it, and then I began expanding outward. Okay. All right. Any questions so far?
Carry on.
Okay. So these are the basic dotting techniques, and I'm going to show them all here in a minute. Dots, large and small. Dip the tool of choice into the paint, gently place the dot onto the canvas. Do not go all the way to the surface. If you go all the way to the surface, you get an uneven dot. You can sometimes get away with it, but usually you want to be careful about how you put the dots in the paint. Just do it very gently. The next technique is called walk the dots. This is usually done with the ball stylus tools. And what you do is you dip the paint into the paint once, then you move your tool, and at each place where you put the tool down, the dots get successively smaller. Now you can see this in these white dots here, and the green ones and the red ones. This is done just dot, 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 like that, and they get progressively smaller. It's a really cool effect. And then there's the swoosh. I've heard it called a bunch of different things, but this is what they called it in the class. So you basically just place a dot and then drag it to create a sort of a tail. And that's what the purple in the lower right corner of this picture is a swoosh. It's also a curved swoosh. And then there is top dotting, which you wait till your paint dries and then you paint another dot on the top of an already dry dot. And then, of course, you can combine these techniques and do all sorts of different things. Okay, I'm going to show all these things here in a minute, but I would like to point out this little thing here is that several of these dots have been top dotted. Like the one in the middle has got a silver dot on top of the purple, and so do some of the other ones. You can see that. All right. So sometimes you can do it 3 or 4 times. Sometimes you do a sort of a swoosh and then top dot it, or you do a dot and then swoosh it, or there's a lot of different things you can do. All right, any questions so far?
Sounds good, doing good.
All right, so let's demonstrate those really quickly here. So I'm going to use, like I said, this Apple Barrel Walmart paint. This is a basic cobalt blue, and I'm just going to shake it up and put a little paint here in my little palette thingy here. Now, give you an idea. Let me take like this one here. This is my own little dowel thing. Okay, if I dip this in here, and then I place the dot on like that, I get a dot. Okay, clearly. So these tools are usually used just for creating same size dots. So you would dip into the paint and dot, dip into the paint and dot each time you did that, okay? Now, this is the biggest small ball stylus I have. So I'm going to use and show you the difference in the dot. So there's a ball stylus dot, all right? Now I can walk that dot, and you can see how quickly I can do that and how the dots get progressively smaller. So then I can begin creating a design like that.
Now, is that because the paint's diminishing with each dot?
Yes, that's exactly why.
Right on. Okay.
So let's say I wanted to have dots go both ways. Then I would take my tool and I would just swirl it a little bit to get a little bit bigger dot. Okay. Starting dot. So if the next dots are all the same size and then came back the other way, whoops, that's too much paint there. But anyway, that's just one set of techniques. Okay. So then there's the swoosh, which is you get some paint and you just drag it. Okay. Or you drag it and curve it. And you can do any number of different designs by combining swooshes too. Or you can combine dots and swooshes. Like I can add a swoosh to this design here, and then maybe start dotting in the middle of this, like that. So there's all sorts of things you can do with this. It's only limited by your own creativity. And there are a ton of videos online about how to do this and how to do that. And I strongly recommend that if you see something you want to try, go hunt it up. Somebody's already done it. All right, now I want to, before I go into the design here, let me switch it a little bit. These tools here that I bought, I have not yet used them. These are stencil tools. They go from very big down here to very small up here. But this came with a whole ton of little things, including this little thank you card, which I thought was a really cool design.
Yeah, right.
And links to their websites where they have a ton of tutorials and so on. So there's a use of that one. There is the use of a stencil, but there's how to. Let me see if I can show this. This is some of the rocks that people have made, and this is some of the stuff in the middle is some of the molds that you can get, and so on. So there's a lot of options for this if you want to just do dotting. But the question is, how do we as wood turners, make this stuff work for us? Well, let me first go into, let's see what else I want to do here. All right, we'll just go in and do something. Questions?
I have one, Matt. Did you add Floetrol to that paint in the bottle?
No.
Okay, so that was just straight paint out of the bottle.
This stuff is straight off of the shelf at Walmart, unedited. I actually I got this several years ago when I was doing more paint pours, and I definitely didn't want to taint the bottle at all. So I bought a whole bunch of extra mixing bottles, and I've got bottles that all have Floetrol in them that I use for the paint pours, but these are untouched. So what I just showed you here on this, this is all just straight out of the bottle. All right, just like it came off of the shelf.
Yeah, not all acrylic paints are created equal, by the way. Some will work great like that, and I've got some that are a little too thick.
Yeah, well,
you have to test them out.
Yeah, years ago I took an art class to try and learn how to paint better, and one of the sets of supplies they had you buy was a set of these, artist acrylic paints, and they come in the tubes, and they're really nice paints, and they're amazing, but they're, thick as molasses. So I can't imagine using that for this without thinning the heck out of it. So
you would strongly suggest practicing on paper as you're showing there before you try any of this stuff on wood.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you got something you really want to try, do it on paper. Draw the design out on paper. And do it on paper first, and because all that practice is all really helpful.
All right.
Matt, will you have a PDF that we could download with your?
Yeah, it is. The link to that is actually on the Worldwide Woodturners Facebook page. I posted it a couple days ago in case somebody wanted to join in and play tonight also. So that the link to it is on the site already. So if anybody wants to download it, it's on our Facebook page, Worldwide Woodturners. Thanks. All right. So let me mix first. Okay, so I've got this other paint here that's more Walmart paint, and it's a much lighter blue. So I'm going to mix this paint. I'm going to use this. If you guys can see. Okay, so I'm going to 1, 2, 3, 4, that. This is about the same amount of each in this center cup. And I'm going to take take one of my mixing sticks. It's on the list, and I'm going to combine it. And I actually want to make it lighter, so I'll add some more of this. So, there's no reason why you, instead of just having 3 sets of 3 stages of the paint here, you could easily do, 6 or 8 stages or more. So depending on how you wanted to gradiate it and so on. Now, one of the things that I've sort of touched on it with the canvas discussion, but one of the things I want to make sure that you understand is that this is a light wood, okay? In contrast to the walnut, which is a much darker wood, I wanted to have colors that would be visible. So I chose the silver, and the purple I chose started out fairly light, but I mixed the first part of that with the silver to lighten it further and to add pearlescence to it. So because my wood is dark, the colors I chose to use were all fairly bright, fairly light colors. And I gradiated between the silver and the purple for some of it. It's not really all that obvious here. But like each of these, there are subtle variations in the color. So there's like 5 steps in there. Is that understood? Do you guys understand what I'm saying there?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. All right. So, so I got my colors here, and I'm going to start with a big dot in the middle to cover up my funnel. All right, and with any luck, it'll be dry by the time I get back to it, so I can top dot it, but I wouldn't hold your breath.
Matt, a few moments ago, you mentioned about that document being on our Facebook page. Our webmaster says tonight it will be on our website.
Yay! Yeah, he can do that while he's watching.
Okay, let's not put any pressure on him. He works for.
Okay, now one of the things I want to explain here is
he doesn't want to miss anything.
That's fair. That's fair. One of the things I want to make sure to emphasize is I personally have a great deal of experience in laying things out. You guys have seen the Celtic knotwork I've done. You guys have seen some of the other decorations I've done. I have a lot of experience doing this. If you don't, if you're the least bit uncertain, use a stencil, use a compass. I'm going to wing it tonight just for brevity, but lay stuff out. And you can see on this piece of wood here that I have laid out little stencil lines on the outside. So when we get to that, it's already laid out. Okay. But I'm going to wing the inside stuff. All right. And I'm going to start by putting a dot there, and I'm going to dip, dot there. Now, the reason why I'm dipping every time is so that I get a consistent dot. Okay. That one's a little off. Because I want these all to be the same size. These are a little close and a little too big, but Now I'm going to put another row of dots in between these other ones. Force myself to dip every time. Didn't do it on that one. Because I'm hurrying, because y'all are watching.
Take your time. You're all good.
And here's the beauty of it. You don't have a pattern. It's your eye that tells you if it's right or wrong.
Yeah, well, like I say, I have experience winging this sort of thing. So, but you can get away with this. I mean, this seems pretty straightforward, right? This is a little sloppy, frankly, but you get the idea. So, okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the same tool, but I'm going to change colors to the next one in line. So I was doing the light purple. Now I'm going to do the middle purple. You guys can't really see that. All right. So I was doing the light blue, and now I'm going to, there. I was doing this one. Now I'm going to shift to doing this one, and then I'll put 2 more rows of there, and then I'll put 2 rows of this. Okay. Now, one of the things, and I learned this the hard way, one of the things that you have to be careful of is not to paint across your paint, because you'll get it on your hands and you'll smear it and you'll have to clean it off, and that's no fun. One of the things that this pattern begins to create, if I do it right, is it begins to create the sort of thing that we see in nature a lot, like on the tops of acorns or the tops of pine cones. It's a regular pattern.
Now, are you basing where you're putting your dots on where the dots on the row before it are?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm putting it right between the previous 2.
Okay.
And I'm not reaching across my piece, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
This is where a little lazy Susan would be handy, huh?
Yeah, which is why I made this.
You see, he kept a secret from us, folks. We knew we'd catch him.
Full disclosure, man.
Yeah.
There's a lazy Susan I made on my lathe. It was either last week or the week before last. I don't remember. I did show it on here. You guys did see it. It's just a little piece of shop plywood and a lazy Susan thingy, and it spins.
Last week.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, so I got 2.
It's got great chitoyans.
Yeah, it does. It was a nice piece of wood. I'm not sure what kind of wood it is. It might even be, it's not camphor, but it might be, I don't know what it is. But it was something that is in the back of one of my shelves. I was doing some cleaning, and it was in the back of one of my shelves. It'd been in there for I don't know how long. All right, now I want to do larger dots. So I'm going to take one of my wood dowels and begin using this to do the dots with the darker blue.
Whoa.
Because I got a lot of space here to fill. This pattern gets big pretty quickly. And I know this is tedious. What's that?
Matt, on your dowel daubers, do you seal the ends to prevent the paint soaking into them, or?
Yeah, they're sealed with sanding sealer.
Okay.
It's okay. Just tell Gary it was intended to be that way.
Yeah, I'm a little artistic expression here. And I'll do a second row of these. Now, the gaps between them are starting to get bigger. I want to dip again for that. They're starting to get bigger. So there's no reason why I couldn't come back with a toothpick and fill those gaps with really tiny little dots. Okay.
You have to wait for this to set up to come back over the top of it to do those dots, or would it be?
Yeah, I'm
wise?
hoping I can. I'm hoping I can do the center dot because I did that first before this is over, but it's probably won't be dry. It's
When
not
you-
like It's not like airbrushing where you're painting a thin skin of stuff, and it dries really quickly because there's not a lot of paint there. There's a fair amount of paint here. And they say
They're dry.
well, I mean, it'll be dry tomorrow. You know what I mean? It'll probably be dry in 5 hours.
And you say you're not touching the wood when you go down with your tool?
I'm saying I'm trying not to touch the wood.
I'm not being a wise guy. I've never seen this technique before. But the goal is not to touch the wood.
Right. That's exactly right. I'm not being entirely successful at that, but that's my goal. So I could come back here. Let me take a smaller, this little one here, and put little dots in between these.
Remember, members, this is by your choice, by your eye. And as always, it's your art. See, Scott Hampton.
This is something you could do on on the top of an urn or the top of a box, like I did with the walnut piece that I showed.
Scott Hampton says he's going to do this year's Christmas ornaments with this technique.
Cool. It's really, it just takes a little practice. It's not that hard to do. And the design is all up to you.
And I'm always trying to find something new to add to my Christmas ornaments, and I think this is going to be it for this year. This is great.
Well, I want to see pictures, dude.
No problem. It'll be a little later in the year, but you'll see them.
Okay, so I don't know if y'all can see that, but you see those little blue dots I put in there?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So that adds an awful lot, and there are other people online who do this a lot better than I do. Okay, so now let's go to a yeah, let's do that. Okay, so I'm going to use my big dowel here, the 3/8 inch one, and I'm going to I'll start with a black with the darker blue one. I'm going to put a big dot out here, and I'm going to put it a ways away from these, because what I'm going to show is I'm going to show walking the dots around these. Okay. Now, this is a time when having laid out these lines with a stencil might be advantageous because they're probably not very consistent.
How do you get the layout line erased, if you will, after it's dried, after your paint's dried?
Well, after your paint's dried is the time to erase it, because a damp sponge, if you're using the watercolor pencils, a damp sponge will just erase it. It's further out. They're too big and not too close. That's a problem there. That's gonna look like not very good. All right. All right. Now let me take this one here, and we'll walk some sets of dots around here. All right. So what I've done here is I've started with with one dot, and I've swirled it a little to make it just slightly bigger than it would normally be. And the reason why I do that is so that I can go dot, 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 dot on both sides of this and have consistent dots like that. Okay. This is clearly going to run into problems here because these are too close.
For those wondering about how this work on your piece, this pattern, all it doesn't have to be this pattern. It's your pattern.
Yeah.
And you can do this in the middle of a bowl, on the edge of a bowl, on the top of an urn. Anything. This will fit anything you turn.
So, and then I can shift to the next color and do another row of these. And they begin to look like this. Like that. Okay. Ooh. So there's a lot of things you can do. So let me, before I don't want to get too far in the weeds, I'm finishing this because it's about to take a lot more time. So let me go and begin working on the rim now. Okay. Any questions so far on any of this so far?
No, pretty cool.
Keep showing this.
Great job, Matt. Love what.
Well, thank you.
Chap that was asking earlier on, I'm confused about as well. If we draw it out with a pencil and we put the dots in place, once the paint's dry, will a rubber just rub out the pencil? Is them dots flat, completely flat? How would you erase the pencil mark?
This is why I recommend using watercolor pencils. Okay?
Right.
Because watercolor pencils will just wipe up with a damp cloth.
Right.
So
after your paint's all dried, then
yeah, you got to wait for your paint to dry, and then you like take a paper towel and get it wet and just wipe it all up. Okay.
Right.
So and if you don't want to go over your paint, if you're worried about your paint, you could do it with a Q-tip, a wet Q-tip. Okay. A cotton swab, something like this. All right. So you just get one end, wet, and you just wipe it up.
Sounds good about watercolor.
All right, so I've been thinking about how I wanted to do these designs here on the rim today.
Hey Matt, do you have to
Yes,
get the
sir.
water pencil wet when you make the mark?
No. I just put the stencil down and draw it.
Oh,
But,
okay.
yeah, it just wipes up with watercolor, with water. So, and you don't have to put a lot of pressure on it, so you don't damage the paint or anything. A Q-tip, a wet Q-tip will do it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, gotcha.
All right, so like I said, I was trying to figure out how I wanted to do the design on the rim here. And so I basically, with the stencil, before I got started, I basically laid out a series of marks here regularly, not knowing what I'm going to do about this, okay? So what I want to do is I want to do some sorts of spirals here. I really like spirals, if you can't tell from the ones I did in the class to begin with. So I wanted to do a sort of a spiral thing. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to put a fairly decent sized dot here and then curl things around down to the bottom only on one side. So I'm going to do that in all of these and we'll see how that goes. You guys with me?
We got you.
All
And this
right,
is why drawing it out on a piece of paper will help, because you can also do this on a piece of paper to test your technique.
Right. So one of the other advantages of doing this the way I did this, Martin, is I'm actually covering up my marks with this dot. So I don't have to clean anything up.
Works for me.
Now you guys can see that this paint has a little contour now. I think it's starting to dry out a bit, but it's still settling out into a dot fairly nicely, so I'm not too concerned about it.
Would you have to put a little more Floetrol or whatever on it if it's getting? It looks like it's peaking a little bit and not dropping.
Yeah, and I'm not sure that I would want to do that, Eddie. Maybe I would just add more paint because the Floetrol will make it thinner and it won't, it will change the consistency of it. You know what I mean?
All right, now I do.
So I'm not sure. Yeah, that's an excellent question, and I don't know the answer to it.
No. We always
Okay,
look for opinions. No, there's no rule on this. It's opinions.
That's right. That's right. So, I know what I wanted to do. All right, I wanted to show this. What I wanted to do, let me. So what I've done here is I've taken a thin tool, very thin, and sort of extended it a little bit, made it into a sort of a swoosh, a very fat swoosh, okay? And you can add paint if you want to do that. So the sort of the spiral pattern that I was starting out with, and you can clean this up. It needs a little cleaning. And the beauty of using a thin tool is that you can really, you have fine control over the details that you're creating.
He's doing this on a piece of light colored wood. Imagine if this was a proper stain of any color you wish, and then you'd put these accent colors on top of it. Go ahead and play with that in your minds, folks.
Yeah, there's a lot of things you could do with this. So let me now take a different tool and a different color and add a smaller swoosh in here. That, uh-oh, did the wrong color. That's why the gods gave us Q-tips.
That's what those things are for.
That's neat though, to see that, to be able to clean up an error like that. It's neat to see that. So you did it on purpose.
No, I didn't do it on purpose.
Take Gary's explanation and stick with it.
It was an excellent design and learning opportunity.
Yes, not just for ears.
Another reason why you need to have the surface finish sealer.
Yeah. Okay, now what I'm going to do for the next bit is I'm going to start walking dots. Okay, this one here looks like crap. So I'm going to start walking dots. I actually want to walk them further. Let's see if it'll let me.
You can't pick up where you left off at because you'd have too much paint, correct?
Yeah, so I go back. Well, I am sort of doing that. I'm sort of cheating here, Eddie. I'm going back in and getting a little bit more paint.
But I mean, if you dip your tool and then went right to the end of the line you finished a second ago, it wouldn't look.
That's right. It would be too heavy. So what I do, okay, so watch what I'm doing. I'm going in and dipping, okay, for the second batch. So I'm adding just a little bit of paint here, a little bit of paint here, a little bit of paint here. But now I can extend my line. Okay. Maybe I got a little bit more here. Maybe I got a little bit more here. All right, so now I'm going to take a different color. So, but you got to experiment with this to figure out how this is all working and how to make it work for you, and maybe do design changes in the middle of stuff.
There's a question in chat, Matt, that asks whether if two dots meld together, they bleed together, what would you do to correct that?
Well, the right thing to do is probably just to get the Q-tip out and wipe it off.
Like both of them away.
Yeah, start afresh. So that's what I've been doing on the rim there. And there's it's not quite what I had envisioned, but there's all sorts of ways to do that. You could just do sort of a herringbone with with swooshes if you wanted to, like I showed on the wherever that paper went to that I did earlier. You could do something like this where you just sort of walked it around the rim with just swooshes and maybe filled in the little bits with dots or something. So there is, and this is just basically two colors and then a third one mixed together to get all of this variety. You can see where this is offering all sorts of unlimited potential for doing all sorts of things. All right, so that's the dotting techniques. Let me go to here. I think I've got one more page. So in my demonstration, I plan to use the plastic palette, the small ball styluses, toothpicks. I haven't used toothpicks yet. And my larger lathe-made dowels, I've been using those. I did use a stencil to lay out the spot for the dots, but that's, anybody who's ever used a stencil to lay stuff out, it's pretty simple stuff. And this is where my note that I have some experience, so I can get away without using stencils a lot of the time. But by all means, use stencils, use a compass, lay out your lines. It would have made sense to lay out, for instance, on this for this bigger line of dots here. It would have made sense to lay that out with a compass, so that they were all on the same distance from the center and so on. And then this point here, this third point, when walking the dots, I will usually make a starter dot and then swirl the paint slightly to create a little bit larger starter dot. And then I can just cleanly and consistently walk the dots in either side of a larger dot. And that's what I did here on these ones here. The first dot is a little bit larger, and then I can walk the dots around and so on. And then the last point here is, if you need to, you can paint or dye your canvas, your plate, your platter, your box top before painting, depending on what paint colors you want to use. Like say you want something dark. There's no reason why you can't stain it with a dye or a stain to give you the base color you want. And people do this all the time. If you watch how people do this online, is people will sometimes create a starburst sort of effect behind it and then paint on top of it. So there's a lot of different ways you can do things with this. So any other questions that anybody has? I haven't been looking at chat.
Hey, Matt, did you use the Sonia paint for doing this? So it would give that 3D effect later?
If it's an acrylic paint, there's no reason why you can't. And I believe that the Joe Sonia, you're talking about the iridescents probably?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think there's any reason why you can't use those. They're an acrylic paint, I believe. I've used them myself, and they work pretty good for basic acrylic paint stuff. So there's no reason why you couldn't use it.
I think it would look neat in the swooshes like you do with the string.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's that's one of the reasons, like on this this piece here, it's one of the reasons why I used, there you go, why I used that pearlescent silver, is it looks really cool. And this is that's what the silver is on the outside for the swooshes. it's pearlescent. So it's, you know, it's about halfway to being iridescent, if you know what I mean.
Just out of curiosity, how long did that top take you to do?
Well, you guys saw how quickly I did this piece here. I will say that the top of this, like I said, I sanded. The first pass on this was really crappy, so I sanded it off and started again. You know, it didn't take me a half hour to do. Okay.
Okay.
So I mean, it's a pretty quick process, and you can see how quickly. You know, this little plate here is like 5 inches across. You know, and I've almost filled this thing up with dots. So, you know, another 10 minutes or so. And I was talking and explaining things the whole time I was doing it. So,
Hey, Matt,
yeah.
what about, would you put anything on top of that now to seal it?
Yeah, after it's dry, I will go through my process. I'll put at least 3 or 4 coats of lightly sprayed lacquer on it. That's what's on top of the box top here. Is it's got you know, 4 coats of lacquer, 5 coats of lacquer, something like that. I just kept spraying it till I was happy. So, and they're light coats. You know, you put a heavy coat on something, you might start dissolving the paint and things will run. You don't ever want to put heavy coats on something you painted.
Do you recommend a gloss or satin or what kind of finish? You know.
Well, the goal of, I mean, you want your dots to be kind of shiny. You want them to stand out. So it would make sense that you would use a gloss lacquer on something or a gloss poly or whatever you're using. I have successfully used poly sprays on painted acrylic pieces also. So I know that works too. But the key is the light. And I like gloss because gloss sells.
Yes,
and,
it does.
and you know, if your goal is to have your dots shiny too. I mean, you know, that's the whole point of adding, you know, of using adding the Floetrol or adding some other thinner, is it really helps things get shiny and be, you know, a smooth globular surface, if you will, and that's the goal. So it would make sense to spray gloss on top of it. So if you spray satin on top of it, you would be defeating the purpose of doing that. So.
Does that spray, do you have to worry about it changing colors on your dots?
No.
Okay.
It's
Your
clear,
dots
dude.
your dots are all dried, so you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's clear. Yeah. Yeah. I was just checking to see if that center dot was dry so I could do something on top of it.
What about
But it's not.
What about the large dots on a curved surface? You've been doing everything pretty much on a flat surface or a dome. What about just a round sphere? Because it'll be elliptical when you put it on instead of round.
If you put it on when it's flat, it's going to be round, okay? But I mean, I would worry about it running, you know, as you're rolling around, you know, like let's say you're doing it on a vase or a bowl rim or something on the outside of a bowl rim. Have anything here off the top of my head? No, I don't. That's an excellent point, and it's a question that I would like to see answered also. Sorry, would it run, you know, before it dried? Would you want to, would you want to turn? Let's say you were doing on the outside of a vase, okay? I mean, you know, clearly as you're painting the dots, everything is still pretty liquid and it's not drying immediately. So there's a possibility it could run. I would want to know the answer to that, Trey. That's an excellent question.
Well, that actually wasn't the question. What I was talking about, if I have a round dot that I'm trying to put on a surface, it's going to look like an ellipse when I go on it because I'm only going to touch in the center part, not the other two edges.
Well, surface tension is going to give you the round dot. Okay, you know, I'm coming at something like this. Okay, so the drop of paint is going to be evenly spread out around that when I put it on. Okay,
but put that on a round surface like a dowel. If you try to put a dot on the side of a dowel, it's going to be elliptical and not round.
I see what you're saying. Yes, the answer is it's elliptical. So you'll have to incorporate that into your design. Make sense?
Yeah, but the trick will be to get them consistent.
That's an excellent point. Thank you for bringing that up. See, I've learned something too from this. This is great.
Any other questions for him?
Yeah, I think that would only work on a cylinder. If you put it on a sphere, it would still be round.
I think you're probably right about that.
A sphere would be round, yes, but on a cylinder it would not. Or you just keep the size of your dot small enough that you won't see it.
You could do it that way, but a part of the game here, I think, is to get the, you've got big dots and small dots. You know what I mean? So I'm not sure if that would, I guess you could still do designs if they were all small dots, right?
Yeah. I'm going to dive back in, Matt, because I learned a lot from that. Thank you very much for doing that demonstration. That was really interesting. I haven't actually seen that done before, and I get the illusion that what you're doing there is you're allowing the paint to create almost a droplet on the piece rather than stamping it onto the piece, which is why you're not actually touching it.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, going into the conversation that you just had there with Trey and various other people that were coming along, I have seen something very similar to this done. And what the gentleman was doing was almost stamping the paint on, so making contact. And the tools that he was using, he had turned himself some dowels, and he had bought, don't know what you guys call them over in the States, but snooker cues. Do you have snooker cues and pool cues?
Yep, we do.
The snooker cue tip you can buy in different sizes, 8 mil, 9 mil, 12 mil, 14 mil. And he bought himself a pack of cue tips and he glued them onto the dowels. And then he was using the paint as a stamping method. So the stamp would actually stamp on a curve rather than a droplet. So he was almost using it like an ink stamp because of the Q-tip holding the paint. So it might be something else that would work on a curve. Cool,
very cool. One of the things that the lady who taught me also had one of those. You remember when we were young and they had pencil erasers that you stuck on the end of your pencils?
Yeah, yeah.
And they had a sort of an oval cross section at the very tip, if you remember correctly.
Yeah.
She had one of those, and she was leaving oval dots on flat surfaces. So, I would, using something like that. I know they sell these tools, which is what I'm typing up in chat right now. But it would be curious to find out. I don't have any of those. At least I don't think I do. But it would be curious to me to find out if that oval stamped crosswise would leave an actual circular impression on a cylinder like we were talking about before.
Yeah.
You compensate for the ovalness by
wider
spread.
Hey, Matt.
Yes.
I would like to ask you a question. You're talking about a cylindrical thing and make a circle. Now, when you put the dot on, you said not to touch the side of the part that you're working on. Could you not go with that rule? The thing is touch the thing and rock your thing back and forth to get it perfectly circle.
You've got to be perfect though, Dave. That's the whole point.
Yeah, but I mean, you like everything else, you got to practice.
Yeah, right.
and with this, if you're going to do it on a cylindrical or round or flat or whatever, you still have to practice for what you do. If you move that pin, that dowel that you're using, just by twisting it back and forth, but you have to touch the object.
Well,
In
yeah,
order-
I mean, you could theoretically still have the thing hover over the top of the piece, not touching it. It's not a hard and fast rule.
Yeah.
You know,
But what I'm
the
trying to say,
goal is to not touch it. Because
yeah,
the thing
the
is
goal is
when you
not to
touch it,
touch it. But in that instance, you could touch it to make it round
yep, you could.
by just moving your pin back and forth or whatever it is. Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome. My
And
pleasure.
Matt,
Yes, sir.
do they have to be round? Could you use square tools to make square patterns or diamond patterns or whatever?
You can
pattern
make
you come
diamond.
up with?
You can make diamond patterns with a toothpick. Put a round dot in, and then extend the corners in 4 directions.
What about squares?
Yeah, you could do that. I mean, everybody's using dots, but there are if you go and search online for dot painting patterns, you see people making squares and diamonds and stuff. So. Yeah, thanks, Dane. Yeah, I'm brand new at this, guys. I learned this a month ago, so it's.
I think a simple answer to all these questions that are coming to Matt is there are no solid rules.
Yep.
In this art, and it is art. So if you feel you can put one color on top of another color with a toothpick and swirl it out, at some degree that'll work. But if you practice, and I tell you what, knowing wood turners, you don't have the patience to practice and throw something away and sand it off. I admire Matt for actually saying he sanded something off and started because it looked like crap. Normal wood turners don't do that. No. So here it is. I said lay it out on graph paper, get a pattern test on paper or something. You can test what you want to do on a simple block of wood. So this is one of my laser test blocks, and I will test what I want on this, and then I'll sand it off. And you can do the same thing. You can block a 1x6, and you sit down, you do your swirls and your curves, and you practice them out, see how your tools work, how your colors blend, and whatever you do not ask your spouse about colors. That's
Hey, so one of the things I've learned is that some people see colors a lot better than other people. So it's if you think that some blues are actually purple, and who am I to say no? Do what works best. I mean, this piece in general, this little piece of that I was doing here tonight as a demonstration, this turned out pretty good, and it's a junky piece of wood with a hole in the middle of it, and I've used this on 4 or 5 demonstrations and made it smaller and smaller every time. You know what I'm saying? So it turned out pretty decent. I don't want this to go away now.
Oh,
Yeah, that's good.
Members, you have to consider it is your art, and it's in your eye and your eye and your heart. So thank you, Matt. Fantastic.
You're welcome. Yeah. One of the things I would encourage people to do is keep thinking out of the box on the rims, because a lot of our decorations are on rims, on canvases of pieces. So I wanted to make sure that I showed some of what was possible, but there is a whole world of stuff out there that you can do on the rim of your piece. We almost never decorate in the middle, but we decorate on the rims. So, there's no reason why you couldn't explore any of this. There's 1,000 ways you could do this and combine them. And I didn't do a very good job on the rim there, but it's got potential. So
I think you did. It's a piece of art.
Don't sell yourself short on that one, Matt. You did a good job.
No, that was
thank
real
you,
good.
guys.
It was a good demonstration on technique, and that's what you can put out. People then take that technique and do whatever they want to do with it. That was good.
Excellent. That's why we talk technique, not art.
Yeah, my pleasure. And one of the things that I wanted to show is how easy and quick it was to do. So if you sit down and every night for a week you take an hour and you paint dots on pieces of paper, with design goals and so on, then who knows where it'll end up? Who knows where that'll take you? You'll explore your own techniques and invent stuff, and it'll all work. And part of my point here is that I wanted to show the techniques that we use in doing it, and that it was possible to do it. Apply it to wood turning. How do you apply it to wood turning? So those were my goals for this demonstration, and I'm happy to think that I did some of that. So Thanks very much,
Good
guys.
job.
Well
You did a
done,
good
Matt.
job, Matt. Thank you.
I think we're going to see a lot of dots in the future.
Cool.
We're going to be seeing dots for a while.
Thanks, Matt. Great demo.
Yeah,
Thank
you
you.
have to consider.
Very good demo.
Brent
Thank you,
did
Matt.
the-
That was a good demo. Looks like a good birdhouse roof decoration.
It does. Well, I thought about doing birdhouse roof. Frankly, Bob, I that was my initial thing, and you know, I'll leave that to you. I think.
But we talked about what you'll see in the future. Brenda did. See the bracelets Brenda had? She's painted those bracelets. You could have a lot of fun with this, especially on novelty pieces and Christmas ornaments and such. Scott was right on the track. He's going to add that to his Christmas ornaments. Turn a simple ornament and then you don't have to do the whole thing in one night. Sit down and do a section of it, and the next night do another section, et cetera, et cetera. What if they don't match? Where's the rule that says they have to? And the swirls will cover, or not cover or conceal, but take the accent off flat spots, etc. Because you all know a flat spot on a bowl, it's a killer for light. You might be able to disguise it somewhat, or work with it to take the accent or make an accent. I love it. Matt gave us an idea of what we can all do, all of our work, and I really think that's great. Thanks again, Matt.
You're very welcome. I got one more point to add that I have forgotten. There is a set of tools you can buy that have silicone tips that are designed to remove paint for cleaning up mistakes. This was just pointed out to me via text by somebody watching. So thank you, Michelle. But there is a set of tools out there you can buy, or there are tools you can buy that have silicone tips that are used for wiping up boo-boos and cleaning things up.
Great, thank you.
Michelle, if you got a link, put it in the chat.
I don't.
Somebody will,
maybe.
Somebody will tonight. We don't miss a chance to share information. But reminding members that if you're a new member, you're just joining in or whatever, you're coming in, Matt's demonstration was not a paid demonstration. This was not a paid per view or a charge or such. Matt is a member just like you are. Matt did a demonstration just like you can, and we can all benefit from the shared information and knowledge that comes through this meeting. And if you'd like to be part of it, contact me. You can go through the website, or you can go through worldwidewoodturners@gmail.com. Very complex, isn't it? worldwidewoodturners@gmail.com. And Dave, our webmaster, is adding all kinds of things to the website. You can send it to him if you got something such as what Matt's developed. You can send it to Dave, whatever name, by our contact on our website, and Dave will use it. We're trying to develop the world's largest and finest wood turning website. I think we got the finest thing going, and we're working on the largest. All right, got to mention again, because some folks are just popping in, some folks popped out. We're only 49 days away from SWAT, Waco, Texas. It's August 26th, 27th, and 28th. A whole lot of us going to be there. We might do an impromptu person-to-person meeting while we're there, because they always have fun things going on. And I have to apologize for not doing the newsletter this month. I will get to it and put it up. I'm having difficulty sitting on pretty much anything right now. Something's back, and we're working on it. So I'll get to it when I get a more comfy spot to sit down, because I'm getting called, where's the newsletter? I show my family and all. I'll get to it. Don't worry about it. I'll get to it. And if you've got a preferred finish, a finish you care to do, and I'm looking for a finished piece, but I've got pieces that I went over with OB Shine Juice, immediately, no sealer, and then, but we got pieces I've done with sealer and then OB, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. What is your preferred finish? If you turn to bowl right now, how would you finish it? Put it in chat. Let us know, because we're sharing this information with
novice turners. I don't say rookies or beginners or whatever, novice turners. And we're always looking to share information with that. If you've got a gallery item you'd like to show tonight, it's easy. All you do is go to our chat, pardon me, and type in, I've got something to show. Dane Chandler out of Tucson will call on you. When he calls on you, please begin talking when he introduces you so he can find you. There's 80 people on the screen. He's got to look through 80 little dots to see who's talking. So, and get a little yellow square, etc. So why don't you help him out with that? If we got some things on gallery or tip of web to share, it's your turn. Let's go.
Yeah, Billy Burt's got a tip. Imagine that.
Billy,
Yeah.
Right when you said it.
I know, wealth of knowledge here. Anyway, and the only reason I'm bringing this up is because I got a message from one of my viewers yesterday. She was having problems with a deft finish, and she said, I'm getting pock marks in it, and I don't know why. The answer turned out to be, well, of course, the first thing you got to think of when you're working with a lacquer finish is if you've got pock marks or a fisheye kind of stuff, or where it looks like the finish really isn't sealing and it is everywhere else, is contamination. She was using an abrasive paste, and she thought all she had to do was sand that off with 320 or 400, and that would be good enough. But such is not the case, especially if you're using something like lacquer. Lacquers can be very unforgiving. So if you are using some kind of an abrasive paste to sand the piece or do your final sanding with, if you're planning on using a lacquer finish, always clean it very thoroughly with denatured alcohol. You've got to remove that contamination. Otherwise, you're going to end up with, like she had, pock marks all over her finish. That's it.
Right. Thank you, Billy. You're always sharing information. So, and that, that's a key thing is some folks miss the fact that a finish is a finish. It doesn't fix anything. It's just a finish. So you got to get it done before you do that. All right. Anybody else for a gallery or tip tonight? Let's rock and roll.
At the moment, no gallery and no additional tips.
I can't believe
We're looking for them. We're looking for them. We've had 1, 2, 3, 4. We had 5 people for gallery tonight. Come on, folks.
Yeah, I mean, I know some of you, pardon me, outlaws are out there and you're hiding some of your good work. Remember, we don't judge it and we have no but guarantee. But we'd like to see what you've turned this week. I'm looking through the list here to see what else is up. I agree. Joaquin Vision be demonstrating turning a Christmas. Whoa, I missed that. Joaquin's gonna be doing a Christmas tree at SWAT. That's right. Hey, yeah, he's a regular down there. So, if you got,
yeah, it looks like we got a couple people coming in now.
All right, good.
Let's go to our first individual. See if I can bring him up. Howard King, you got to.
Yes.
Howard,
yes,
go ahead
I'm
and
here.
start talking.
Yes, I'm here. I got something to share. I had a sweet gun tree that was getting real close to the electrical line, so I had to cut it down. And so the trunk of it, the stump of it, I cut up to turn a bow. It was down like this with the roots coming out of into the ground. So I turned it down and got some black wood, one of those clarinet bell blackwood pieces put for the base. So anyway,
That is gorgeous.
That's really pretty.
That's really nice. I like that.
Love
so
it.
it's just got a matte finish on it. And so anyway, other thing I got is I'm working with a guy. He's a beginner wood turner. So I went over to his house and he had some wood laying out in the yard in the sun, and been pretty hot here, like 90 99 degrees. But anyway, he had a neighbor of his had taken a piece of chocolate ambrosia maple, and it was laying out there. And I said, "Man, you need to get this out of the sun." And he said, "Well, you can have it." So he gave it to me. Of course, the bark fell off, and so anyway, that's
That is great.
Very
What
nice.
kind of a finish have you got on it?
It's got 4 coats of Minwax antique oil.
That's pretty. That looks real nice.
Another brilliant
Thanks.
piece.
Thank you.
Pretty nice. Nice
Howard.
nice piece.
Love your work.
Sharon.
All right, thank you.
All right, let's go to our old buddy in Hudson, Quebec. Hey, Bill.
Hello, gentlemen. I have a couple pieces to show. The first one is a piece of big leaf maple from the West Coast. It's spectacular. It's a small piece. It was just a small piece that I had, but spectacular grain.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
It is,
grain is awesome.
magnificent wood to work with. It's worth every penny you have to pay for. This one's got a bit of spalting in it, but mostly it's just a burl. Second piece is another small piece of Kentucky coffee tree. This was a slab off the side of the tree. It was mostly bark, so it was only 3/4 of an inch thick. So there's still some bark on the back side.
Nice.
About 4 inches in diameter, and this is another spectacular wood. And the last one is a hollow form. This is another big leaf maple. Hollow form on the bottom, made out of big leaf maple, sugar maple collar on the top, and hopefully to make it a little more attractive to sell in my daughter-in-law's little retail outlet, some wooden flowers. These are just made from whatever I had around the shop, maple or ash or maple branches or 2x2 or 1x2. And the grass is made from a paint stir stick.
That's pretty. I like the flowers.
Nice.
That's cool.
Yeah,
Nice touch.
the next one, I have a plan to make a daisy, but I'm going to have to invest in a cutter to do some cutting on the lips. But anyway, great fun. Yeah.
Good job.
Beautiful work, sir. Beautiful work.
Love it.
Very nice.
Yeah. And this again, the big leaf maple is, you just can't beat it. Beautiful, beautiful wood.
Beautiful. Yes.
Yeah, it sure is.
I can see your
All right,
TV
thank you.
screen.
Yeah. Good.
All right, let's go to Terry.
Okay, how you doing tonight?
Good.
That was a great demo, and the little scar on my face was, I should have worn my face shield when I was eating. I didn't do that. That wasn't good. But anyway, last week when I was on, I showed you that globe that I made out of the ash. And I told you I had another one that I was working on that I had a problem with, but I thought I could salvage it. And I did a pretty good job. I got it salvaged and around. I wound up cutting the bottom out of it. One thing I wanted to say with these, I don't know that I mentioned before, but all these globes, these shades and globes I've been making, I've been hollowing all that out with homemade John Jordan copy handheld hollowing tools. I haven't been doing any of that with any boring bar or anything. So trying to get down to like 2 mil is quite tricky. But anyway, I wanted to share that with you. And I got that one done. I'm going to flip the camera around and show you what I did. The lighting is different on all of them. This, what I'm using is what I call a swan neck fitting. This is just a donor lamp that I bought for them, and they're kind of hard to find, but they really work good on a side shade, trying to get the light out in the right direction. And the light bulbs mean a whole lot of big difference on them. And my wife might be able to hear me, so I won't tell you how much money I've spent on light bulbs trying to get these fixed. Every one you put in has a different fitting to it. But there's the globe that I was working on last week that I told you about. It's about 11.5 inches in diameter. And I turned it with the tools and hollowed it out, but I wasn't really happy with it. So I tried to remount it, and I did a pretty good job of remounted it with the open part down up against the headstock. And I made a light bulb fixture on a piece of pipe that I put through the headstock and had this thing lit up on the lathe as it was turning. And I took it around, and it was already down to less than 1/8 of an inch, but it had some dark spots I was working on. So I got it down pretty thin. And then I made the base. And anybody that thinks about making a lamp, these bases are more work than the lamp, actually. But let me fire this thing up here and see if you can get an idea what we got.
Wow.
Very nice. I'm getting a little glare out of it. Maybe if I turn the light down, no, I don't cut down on the flare. But that's
That is gorgeous.
That white part where it's washed out there really isn't washed out that bad. It's just the way the light's hitting it. It's really red. It's almost the same color that you're seeing at the top, at the bottom, and the top is darker than it appears on the photograph. But it's really, if I turn one off, it might not wash out so bad. That's better.
Oh, wow.
It doesn't wash out so bad. But that's down there. There's places, it's really, if I get a close view of it, there's some places where these little knots are that actually are splitting open as it moves a little bit. You can see the holes in it.
The chicken.
But it's got a lot of character, but it's down. In most places, you could measure it with a feeler gauge. It's down there to thousandths of an inch. I don't know how I got it that thin without destroying it. It was close, but I put it back on the lathe with a light bulb in it. I said, well, no guts, no glory. Let's give it a try. And it lived. I was pretty happy with it.
That's
That's
just
the
stunning.
one that I showed you before. And that thing is just moving all over the place. It's nowhere near around. It's all over the place.
Okay. It works.
That's what I got to show. What's that? My little bird house. I got a birdhouse. You want to see my birdhouse? Where is it?
That's cool.
Toothpick holder.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
Sorry, toothpick holder.
Stick birds.
Yeah. Bird sticks. So that's what I got, guys. But I wanted to tell you about doing that. And that's quite a trick, hollowing that out with a handheld tool and getting it down that thin. I tried to set up my homemade boring bar, but I didn't have the right fittings for it and the tools for it. And I would have had to cut some down and set up with a laser, but I didn't think I could use it anyway. So I tried it and it didn't look like it was going to work. And when I got it down, I was working on the very bottom of it on the inside, and I got a catch. And I don't know why this thing isn't scattered all over the shop. I got a good one. It come around about 3 spirals and dug in about 1/8 of an inch deep. I don't know why it didn't blow up. But anyway, that's what I got, guys. And I'm pretty proud of it. I thought it come out really nice.
Hey Terry,
That is cool.
for your globes, how do they sit on the lamp post there? They just sit in there, or do you have them attached?
What's that?
How do you have the globe attached to the lamp there?
On this one, I got you can see this. See, this is the double swung. Where to go? This is the one I have. See where it's got a post that actually comes up in the middle.
Right.
And it sets on the post, and it's got a.
Oh, okay, you got a fitting one. Got it.
Hold it on.
Okay.
On some of them, on that spear that I made before, it just set on the bottom. But I was going to do that with this one, and management come out and told me that it would look a lot nicer if I got light through the bottom of it rather than setting it on a solid plate. So that's when I decided to go with that other fitting. Those fixtures are really hard to find. I've got 4 of them, but I've had to pay like $20 a piece for those lamps to tear them apart.
Yeah.
I can find them online, but by the time I got done getting up, they sell them in pieces. And by the time I got done, I'd have $50 in one. So, but anyway, I've been playing with them a lot. Now I'm about done making shades for a while. And I'm going to go back and go over some of the lamps that I've made and see if I can't make some improvements on them. So,
Very.
it's been fun. It's been a journey.
Yeah, it's been fun watching them.
How many lampshades have you made now, Terry?
I'm afraid to tell you, my wife will beat me up if she hears me. I walked around the house and looked at them, and I got 20 in the house, and one of the boys took one home, so it looks like 21.
Oh my goodness.
Cool.
So I wish I had more kids to come and get them.
Well, now you know how to do it.
Wow.
So,
Terry.
anyway, but that's what I got, guys.
All right,
Beautiful.
thanks,
Nice,
Terry.
Terry.
Very nice.
Very
All right,
nice.
let's go to Stephen. Hey, Stephen.
Stephen, you're up. You're on. You're live in direct.
Hi, I just have a cherry bowl to show. Got a little bit of a design feature here. A little scoop rim.
It's nice.
Cool.
Oh, it's cool.
What kind of wood is that?
What is it?
Cherry,
Oh, that duh. You said that.
cherry. It's I got OB shine juice as the finish and Axe polish and then shine on the inside. I did it on the outside too. And I just got my Biol buffer system today, and I buffed up the outside, and it really puts another level of shine on it.
Oh,
Yes.
it does.
Nice.
That's
There you
very
go.
good.
The only thing the old system says is don't put linseed oil on your finish, and OB shine juice has boiled linseed oil on it. Would that affect the wheel? Do you think? Why do you think?
No, not if it's cured first before you buff it.
Yeah, if it's
If it's not cured, the wheel will absorb it.
And how long do you think that takes to dry?
Depending on your heat, humidity, or your climate, it could take a day. It could take a few days.
Okay. Yeah, it's got a nice shine to it. Yeah, was I guess 2 or 3 days old when I buffed it. So.
Yeah, so it should be dry, and the wheel wouldn't absorb it. The slighted rim, was that the bark edge or a cut in the wood, or was it a design element, design opportunity?
It had a chainsaw cut right through it.
Oh,
So
cool.
instead of making the bowl smaller, I just sanded this out by hand.
Yeah,
it works
it's a good
fine.
feature, because as it sits like that, you can see in the bowl. You can see the design and the grain within the bowl.
Do not get Brenda started, please.
What do you see, Brenda? See that, Brenda?
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah, yeah. See, I don't, well, big smiley face.
I'm just totally amazed that I can take a piece of firewood, turn something this nice out of it. It's just it's just it's like more every time I'm always amazed.
Look
It's
at the face in that knot. It's almost like the man on the moon.
Yeah.
Right there.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Oh, look, there's a little
See there, Kate's getting as good as I am.
Y'all are scaring the members now. Be careful.
That is beautiful.
That is, thank you, Stephen. Gorgeous work.
Thank you.
Very nice.
That's all I have.
right. Let's go to Scott Hampton. Scott, welcome back from Tennessee.
Hey guys, how y'all doing?
Hey, Scott.
You got it? Do you have?
Hello, hello,
I'm
hello.
bringing him up.
There we are. So this is the back of one of my instant gallery pieces. I can't remember if I showed you guys before I left or not. This is a piece of Claro walnut.
No, you didn't show it.
Huh? Did I
You
show
didn't
it?
show that.
No, I'd have remembered that. That's nice.
No, you didn't show it.
See, it's got all that. The deep texturing. I showed how to do this during one of my 90-minute demos, and it's twins sold at the silent auction, thankfully. But you know, this stuff. I can get like a 6-foot plank of this stuff for like $40 where I live. So
Wow,
not bad.
Oh, nice. Nice wood.
That is pretty.
Nice details, too.
Thanks. But as far as what Eddie said about attendance, they said 1,100 people registered when there's usually 2,000. The plus side is 400 of those were first timers to the symposium, which was a record.
That's good move. That's good move.
That's really good news. They did They did for the first time. They did a what they call a first timer orientation, and it totally filled the banquet room with first timers to the symposium. Wow. Yeah.
Cool.
So the more experienced symposium attendees kind of shied away from it this year, which was surprising. But with all the travel costs and everything, though, that's what a lot of the people attributed to. They actually, there's several hundred people that actually ate the ticket costs because of how much travel expenses went up in the last few months. They just gave up their ticket and because they couldn't afford to fly or however else they were going to get there. So,
wow,
that's what they attributed most of the absent people to was travel expenses. So,
Yeah. And maybe COVID, people still nervous about the whole COVID thing.
not from their surveys and stuff. There's only I would say only 100 people wore masks at the whole event. So, yeah, what they understood from doing surveys and, they contacted people via email, are you going to make it? And what they understood was it's just the cost of travel was the big thing.
Well, hotels went up too. It's automatic.
Yeah, the hotels were up there too. So
yeah,
the whole package. Thankfully, they paid me. They paid for my flight. They paid my hotel room, so I didn't have to worry about any of that. So thankfully.
Good.
What was that tool you used?
We had two people from our club that got COVID after they came back.
Oh, really? Oh, that's sad.
Must have been from the restaurant they went to eat at.
Yeah. And then I did back-to-back. There's another event in Southern California that I went to called SoCal Turner's Expo, where I did one-on-one classes and I did a couple of demos on their main stage. So I'm kind of tired now. 2 weekends in a row of this, and I'm kind of wore out.
Well, you do good work.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a nice month-long rest before I jump back into almost everything. So
good. All right.
All right.
Reserve.
What was the texturing tool you used, Scott?
Huh?
What was the texturing tool you used?
I use a Arbortech mini carver, power carver, while the piece is turning on the lathe.
Yeah. I've seen that done with the chainsaw too.
Demo.
I've seen it done with a chainsaw, but it actually tears up the wood a lot more. It's a lot more dangerous with a chainsaw. I've seen that done too, and it actually more tears up the wood than leaves a pattern behind. So,
Dane, if you don't have it down yet, Hold on.
Oh, we're already talking on it.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, right, because I was putting the name down.
No, it's
We
all
don't
good.
miss,
That's why I handle the demos. It's all good. It's all good.
because we don't miss a chance for a great demonstration. We don't miss a chance.
Well, we don't. You got something coming up here, Eddie, and then we're going to go to the other.
I'm sorry?
I said, you got something to show here, and then we're going to go to it.
Oh, wait, you know, I'm looking in the chat, and this guy's got something he wants to share with us tonight. So, let's see. This, you know, he retired from the Army, but he has to wear that green, and he's starting to fill out a little bit after getting off all those calisthenics. So right now we'll go live and direct to Doug Rowe, our massive first sergeant. Can you get him up there, Dane? Will he fit?
I'm looking for Doug. Where'd you go?
Is he still wearing his bathing suit?
Doug, talk to us.
He may never talk to us again.
What did he do? Sign off right when you did
Yeah,
that?
he ran off to put the bathing suit on.
Like, I'm out of here.
Oh, there, he's back in the waiting room. I hope he. Doug, are you with us? Doug, it should have signed in by now.
I just admitted him.
Oh, okay. Let's see if we can get his photo. There he is. There's Doug Rowe.
Oh no.
Hey,
There
that's
he
me.
is.
Where did you get that photo?
Well, we've been waiting for you. What happened to you?
The last guy was talking. I heard he used the Carver, and then everything blacked out on me, and I had to log out and log back in.
Oh, okay, well, that's why we had to go to your old profile picture.
Yeah, I've gained a little weight since then, but
Ooh,
all right.
That's that piece you're putting in the machine. I saw you putting it on your lathe.
Yeah. So if you were watching me on Facebook turn this live, this is where the screws broke off in my faceplate when I was taking it off. Snapped them off. Snapped 3 out of the 4.
Okay, yeah, I missed that part. I was wondering why you were carving that out until the very end when I logged back on
so
and
I'm
saw you.
trying to hog out around it, and there's one that's still in there. Anyways, overall, pretty disappointed actually with this piece because there's virtually no color to the top other than yellow. I mean, the inside of the bowl came out nice, but it's just yellow. If I turn it over, oh my gosh, it's kind of pretty. So I guess I made the bowl upside down.
Oh, that's cool.
Well, I don't know. I like the yellow cambium of the mesquites. So
Yeah.
Looks good.
I like that.
It really
Make
does.
it the stand of a vase.
Okay, then the next one I want to show you, this one I had a lot of fun making. So that's a piece of red cedar. Some following me on Facebook when I was making that one. But so the cool thing about this is how I got this piece of wood. I was on vacation over there in New Mexico, going through a little place called Tinkertown, and this piece of wood was sitting on the top of their firewood. And I asked them if I could buy it, and they just gave it to me.
What type of wood?
Red cedar.
Oh, okay.
Gorgeous.
That's very nice.
Yeah, it was just, I looked at that and I was like, oh my gosh, I see a beautiful bowl in that piece of wood. So that was cool. And then the other one that I made this week is this big vase that's going to my neighbor. I cut this tree down last October and I saved this piece of it and I'm giving it back to her probably tonight or tomorrow.
That is cool.
But yeah, so I did this with my hollow roller, got way down in there, and I was able to get a completely flat bottom, no dimple, no nipple. Perfect down there. I was pretty happy about that.
nipple.
I always seem to get one or the other. Either my turning tool is a little bit too low and I turn a nipple, or I I get too centered and dig too deep and create the little divot in there.
An innie or an outie.
Yeah, but so I managed to get that one.
It's Martin spots. I'm just having fun. That's all.
So there's the next one that's going to go on the lathe. That's another piece of mosquito I'm going to turn into the base. But so here's what you all need to give me your opinion on.
Oh,
Those are balls.
blue
And
ball.
Dane's got me scheduled to turn a bowling ball for a demo. When am I doing it, Dane? June or July 20th?
Yeah.
Okay.
My opinion is you should send one of them to me.
Do you want me to turn blue balls or do you want me to turn red balls?
Blue balls.
Blue.
Boy.
Blue.
And of course,
blue
my
balls.
air compressor kicked on. Hold on. I can't hear anything. That, of course, had to turn on right in the middle. So anyway, which one do you guys want on the demo? The blue one or the red one?
Blue.
Go blue balls.
Blue.
Go blue balls.
Go blue.
I'm hearing blue more than anything else. So I will save the blue one and I'll practice on the red one before the 20th, and hopefully I'll know what I'm doing again.
Is that from the thrift store?
Both of them.
Sweet.
Paid
That's
a
a good
whopping
score.
$2 for each of these.
When you say thrift store, is that like Salvation Army or Goodwill or someplace like that? What is that?
Correct. In
Okay.
this case, the specific thrift store that I go to all the time is called Stepping Stones. But yes, it's essentially the same thing. Just this is it's a charity thrift store that supports a battered women's shelter.
Okay.
And so I prefer to give them my money over Goodwill. But I do get stuff at Goodwill too.
You know those bowling balls when they're brand new are worth over $100 each, right?
Oh,
So I
easy.
guess I should sell the yarn bowl for like $79 I'm going to make out of it then?
Oh, don't discount it. Don't discount it, please.
Double.
All right, beautiful, beautiful. I can't wait for that demonstration. July 20th. All right.
July 20th. Yep.
Yeah,
And
thanks,
that's all I
Doug.
got.
All right. So,
All
and
right.
look, the hair's, look, folks, the hair's growing in nice.
It's getting there.
Yeah.
Hair.
We didn't know we could grow hair for a while. Hey, Cade, how you doing? We heard Cash a little while ago, but he's knocked out, didn't he?
Yeah, he's passed out. He's snoring away in his bed. Here he is right here as I'm working away. So the wife's out doing some running around and last minute things because I got a huge festival this weekend. So it's going to be pretty fun getting some last minute things done and the van packed. And it's like Tetris, getting everything in there. Especially with the baby in the car seat now, I lost that little bit of space. So it's packed right to the ceiling. So at least I got the trailer mirrors. So that's all I need on my van. But it's a good one. It's like hippy dippy tent city, and it's a music folk festival. So even if I don't sell anything, I have a blast because of the music and the festivities, and so it's great. But I've been busy doing a few things. I haven't posted this. I actually made this for our wedding shower and then our wedding. But Cash had his 1 year photos today. So we did a bit of a cake smash, but instead of doing cake, we did donuts because I love my donuts. It's like a donut a day keeps the doctor away, right? So we did donuts, and this is a cake stand I made, and it's made out of walnut.
That's nice.
Wow.
Ooh,
You
shiny.
see that shine?
That is shiny.
Yeah, I see your,
Is that
your
a
telephone.
mirror?
You can see my phone and the baby monitor.
Yes.
Absolutely.
You can practically see Cash in there.
So what did you finish it with?
Wow.
This is tongue oil. Many, many, many coats of tongue oil, and then sanded, buffed in between, and many, many more coats over top. It's not a quick finish, but it is totally worth the effort to get that finish. So this is black walnut, and the base is live edge. It was turned and flattened on my lathe, and that was there when I started, a little kiss with the chainsaw. And then the base here, here's the base. And again, it's black walnut for the top. And the base is black walnut and beech. Black walnut, beech, black walnut, and beech. And then I created the shape and the profile on my lathe. And then I do the 3 lines and sign and signature and label the species of the wood. So we used this today for his photos. And we piled a whole pile of donuts on here, some glazed, some plain, some apple fritters. And we got a lot of really good photos. So in a week or two, I'll be posting them on Facebook when the photographer gets them to us. But we got some fabulous photos, and he just had a blast mashing up those donuts and playing with them and eating them, and he had a ball. So
A donut a day will keep the doctor away, which means Doug Rowe will never see a medical professional in his life.
no.
Absolutely true statement.
And then I've also been busy practicing a bit for the Woodturners retreat coming up at the end of the month. So I've been doing a few eggs. Eggs are always a good practice piece to really refine your techniques and your skew. Now try and turn the perfect chicken egg. And this is the exact dimensions of a large hen egg, which is 43 millimeter diameter and 62 millimeter length. I'd have to get my calipers to do the conversion, but 43 is roughly 1.75 inch diameter, and then 62 is 2.5 inch in length. And it's very good skew practice, so I'm going to be doing a skew demo, skew fundamentals and troubleshooting, and then turning the perfect egg solely with the skew. And this is straight off the tool with no sanding. And then I also turn a pedestal for this. Now, the one I'm doing for the ash egg, to get the color contrast, I'm going to use some roasted ash. And I have the piece on the lathe right now here just to start.
Wow.
We can see that beautiful roasted ash wood grain. So I'm going to have the white ash egg really set off with the dark roasted ash base. But I got to make sure I seal both first. Otherwise, all that dust and darkness from the roasted ash will actually transfer to the grain of the white ash, which might be a cool effect. It would actually be a cool effect, but it's not the effect I'm going for in this piece. But if you do that and you fill the open grain with a darker dust, it almost acts like a liming wax, and it will fill the pores of that open grain. And then when you put the finish on over top, the color contrast really pops. But I want the egg to stay crisp and the base to be the color contrast darker part to set the egg off and give it elevation. But I have a couple others here that I did the other day. And this one is, the egg is quarter sawn red oak.
Wow.
And the base is spalted tulip poplar. And that is all turned with the skew. Even the hollowing is turned with the skew. And they're really good good projects to sell at craft fairs and festivals, but sometimes I take 3 different colors and I'll put them in a bowl, sort of like a centerpiece to really set that bowl off like a color contrast, to accent the bowl with 3 different species of wood. So there is one I did, and I did 3 of these last night. I haven't turned an egg in a pedestal probably in a year, since last year when I really ramped up for the shows and restocked my galleries. But I just had to get that muscle memory back and do a practice run or 2 before the upcoming Woodturners retreat. And here is another one, which is in red oak again.
Beautiful.
And you can set them up straight. If you're having an off day, you could be a little tilted or sideways. So you can always accent it to whatever mood you feel like that day. And people put them on their mantles or their pedestals, just as a decoration. But it's also a good homecoming gift for people who get a new home, or also people having babies or fertility or stuff like that. It's also a good gift for those type of um, occasions as well. And then last but not least, I got this one, which again is a red oak egg and a tulip, spalted tulip poplar base. And then this one is a little taller on the base. And there it is there. So I've been a little bit of turning here and there in between nap times and evenings and weekends when they're all sleeping. So yeah, that's it for me.
Well, you know, turning an egg is great skill builder, but also if you've got a bunch of, we don't call them scrap woods, if you have ends or drops of wood and you turn an egg out of it, you can always keep it as a wood sample because you know what it is. I had at one time in my shop, I had a fruit bowl full of samples that I turned. And when I went to the shape, I cheated a little bit. And say cheated a little bit, I went to the internet and I took a picture of an egg. You can get them on google.com. And then I printed it on a piece of cardboard, cut the cardboard out, and you could use that for an idea to look at because your eye doesn't always see the bumps and the grooves and all that, and you can't get the proportions. Remember where an egg comes from. They're not totally round and they're not totally a cylinder. And there's some irregularities, and that's what makes them a great piece to turn. So I liked it. I think they're a fun project. And as Kate said, he turned it with a skew. That's a skill builder. That's a skill builder. Yeah.
And it also incorporates the golden rule and the golden ratio because an actual egg is the 1/3 base, and the 1/3 base, the top of that curve is at your 2/3, 1/3 increment. So the top of an egg is 2/3, and the bottom of an egg is 1/3. And you have three different curves: fairly slight curve, a fairly steep curve, and then a nice taper to a fairly steep curve. So it's not always a easy project to turn a perfect egg, but it is a really good skill builder, both in tool control, practice, and presentation, but also incorporating those valuable rules of the golden ratio, whether it's 2/3, 1/3, or 2/5, 3/5, which will really elevate your design elements in your work and in your pieces.
I know you're talking a lot about.
Ask again, please.
Yes, Trey?
Go ahead, Trey.
I don't know. I thought there was a question out there.
Might have froze.
Thank you, Kate.
There he is.
There he is. Got to unmute yourself, Trey. There you are.
Go again, Trey.
Oh, he ain't
Yes.
in there
Still no
yet.
sound.
Nope.
Oh, your mic's not hooked up.
Got
Check
the
your
wrong
mic.
got the wrong mic picked.
We can't hear you. Must be on the wrong mic.
Okay, can you hear me
There
now?
we are.
Yep, gotcha.
Okay, I was on the headphones and that was screwed up. I had chickens, and you know what? None of them ever read the golden rule. They were all different shapes and sizes. Some of them thinner and long, some of them fatter. They never read the rules. So
And if you have banties, they're miniature eggs.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's a perfect size egg. So if you make it a little fat, a little thin, most of them were 1/3, 2/3, but have a big end, small end. But they don't read the rules, so you're good almost anything you do.
Just good tool work and good finish work makes it happen.
Oh.
So, all right. It's that time of the evening, folks. We've
got
been
one
just
more.
Like,
We
just
got
like
one more,
Trey
Eddie.
said,
one more. Let's go one more. Who's that? Oh
One more.
man.
Yeah,
Who we
Sneaky
picked?
has a question for Matt. No.
But Dane, did you turn a cat?
No, actually, I did something, a real simple little project, did a video on this week, so I thought I'd share it with you guys. So a biscuit cutter. And again, these are super simple, easy to make. Doesn't take a whole lot of time to make them, but they sure do come in handy. And turn this one where it could be a biscuit, small biscuit or a cookie cutter. And you can make them any size you want your biscuits. So when you're making one of these for your wife, just understand, if you want tiny biscuits, make a tiny cutter.
And if you okay, now we get the other half.
Hey, Dean, there's actually another purpose I found out.
Yeah.
So my sister was up here visiting on 4th of July, and I showed her your video. And I said, check out my buddy, watch him make this cookie cutter, biscuit cutter, because she bakes a lot. And she goes, oh, that's really, really neat. And I said, we can go make one if you want to. Won't take too long. So we run in the shop, and I didn't use your measurements. I just grabbed a stick that I had a twig off something or a branch. And she goes, you know what I'm going to do with this? I'm giving it to the grandbabies. They can use it for their Play-Doh. So I thought, well, I guess I better tell Dean they're Play-Doh cutters also.
Exactly.
Multi-purpose tool.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Dean.
But they're a lot of fun to make, and it is a skill builder.
That was a cool video, Dean, though. It really was. If you guys haven't seen it, go check it out.
Thank you.
Yeah, and you have to consider the degree of work you have to, and part of the skill you have to put into that. There's no tearing, no gouging. You'll learn how to do. Somebody earlier said they did Doug said a nipple or a dipple, and with a piece that's small like Dean's did, you can understand it, see it, and learn how to correct dipples or nipples or whatever you call them. To me, that steals from the whole piece.